Chapter 6:19. What a powerful existence! I am a wanderer in the third dimension. I obtained a nameless secret technique by chance, which allowed me to cultivate to this level. However, I know that my level is not worth mentioning in front of the great immortal tower. It is my honor to receive the immortal tower's favor this time. Jiang Li said humbly. Very good. It is good that you have such an attitude. The old man was very pleased. Not bad, not bad. I have high hopes for you. However, your cultivation is very strange. The laws you cultivate are also different. It doesn't seem to be any of the laws I know. What is it? I don't know about that. I cultivate the nameless technique I found in the universe. It is incomplete, but it is very powerful. Now that I have cultivated to this level, that technique is gone. Therefore, I hope to find some knowledge in the immortal tower and perfect this technique. Jiang Li began to speak half-truths. An incomplete technique? The old man said. Can you tell me about the technique? No problem. Jiang Li did not hesitate. He seemed to have a lot of trust in the immortal tower. He told the old man about his cultivation methods of emptiness, life, oblivion, fate, core, and the incomplete human laws. He did not care. This technique was originally comprehended by him. It was incomplete. Moreover, it had not appeared in the world. No one else could cultivate it. Not only that, it was incomplete to begin with. Every step would require him to calculate it. If he gave it to the immortal tower and attracted the attention of the higher-ups, they might be able to calculate the next technique for him. This way, he would be able to obtain a lot of references. This is indeed an incomplete cultivation technique. Exquisite, very exquisite. Let me calculate and see what the next cultivation technique is. The old man's heart stirred. Sure enough, he was attracted by this exquisite cultivation method and became immersed in it. It had to be said that the 6 laws of Jiang Li's infinite great Tao were interlinked with each other and were extremely profound. They gave people infinite space for imagination and could even give people great inspiration for their cultivation. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had such a hard time calculating it himself. Even the heavenly will of the cultivation world was difficult to calculate. This infinite great Tao was a pioneer. As long as one was an expert, they would know how powerful this great Tao was. They would fall into it and start calculating. However, this old man only seemed to be an expert with 12 great Taos. It was simply too difficult for him to deduce the infinite great Tao. How is this possible? This law is like a dense fog, I can't see it clearly. Furthermore, I can't predict the future changes at all. Could it be that this cultivation method was left behind by a god, and that even a god couldn't predict the future changes? The old man's forehead was covered in sweat, and he was extremely unconvinced. He was still trying his best to deduce, but unfortunately, he couldn't deduce anything beyond the 6th nomological law. Emptiness, life, oblivion, fate, the center, the human world. The 6 great laws had been deduced to the limit. What was the 7th? It was a dense fog because the 6 great laws seemed to have reached the limit and could no longer develop. Thinking about it, emptiness represented the real world, life was the foundation of all meaning, oblivion was the combination of emotion and ruthlessness, fate was the line that connected everything, and the center was the core. The human world was the existence that made life meaningful. This series of cultivation methods were simply interlinked and had reached the limit. There was no way to go further. However, now that the 6 great laws were combined, it wasn't a great Tao. There seemed to be something lacking. This was the most frustrating thing. Thinking about it, the 6 great laws were already perfect, but they couldn't form a great Tao. What was going on? There was definitely something lacking, but even the wisdom of an expert couldn't deduce it. It was like a person falling into the depths of layers of fog, unable to extricate themselves. Mysterious cultivation, mysterious martial arts. There are many such martial arts in the infinite worlds, but it doesn't matter to you. Our immortal tower has power even stronger than God's, so we will definitely be able to help you deduce the changes in the future. Come, let's start the next test. It's about your martial arts cultivation. We have a virtual martial arts system that specializes in testing martial will and changes. In other words, now that your spirit has entered the martial arts system, you can meet all kinds of opponent. They are all people who are here to take the test. You can completely abandon the changes of your spirit, energy, and true chi and enter the virtual martial arts system to fight. The old man pointed, and a virtual crystal seemed to appear in front of Jiang Li. This crystal was like a helmet, and it was placed on Jiang Li's head. Suddenly, Jiang Li seemed to have entered an arena, waiting to fight. What an advanced martial arts system! After entering the system, no one can use spirit, true chi, energy, or the great Tao to fight. It purely depends on one's martial arts recuperation. Jiang Li was very clear about the changes in the system. Inside, when people fought, it was all about martial arts recuperation. Nothing else mattered. In other words, even an ordinary saint could defeat a cultivator of the great Tao as long as his martial arts recuperation was outstanding. In fact, this was like an online game that relied purely on manipulation. Even a rich person would not be able to win against a poor person if the manipulation was not good. This was the real test of the immortal tower, and it pulled everyone together. Spirit could be faked. With the help of a senior, one's spirit fire could be more vigorous. Great Tao and laws could also be cheated, but martial arts recuperation could not be cheated. Martial arts recuperation was a person's understanding of martial arts, and it was the most likely to show one's true self. Through this method, the people of the Immortal Tower's star field could see who was the real talent, and who was relying on the help of a senior. Jiang Li analyzed the power of this system in detail, and felt that it had already surpassed the current technology of humans. Go and fight. With your martial arts cultivation, you can defeat anyone. In this system, as long as your martial arts cultivation is strong enough, you can achieve anything. You can defeat a cultivator of the great Tao, or even stronger existences. This martial arts recuperation system competition is of utmost importance in the Immortal Tower's star field, because martial arts cultivation is the foundation of everything. We will rank you. Whoever wins first place, we can directly make him a true disciple of the Immortal Tower and send him to the headquarters to receive the best training. Even if he doesn't win first place, if he can come out on top, he will still be rewarded handsomely. A voice sounded in Jiang Li's ear. The arena suddenly expanded infinitely, as if it had turned into a world of fighting. The aura of martial arts spread out. This was pure martial arts, even purer than the martial arts world. It was a naked fight. Swoosh, 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 people kept appearing in this arena. Everyone had abandoned all magical powers, the great Tao and spirit, leaving only their own martial arts cultivation to come here. Everyone, let's fight. The entire universe has always been a world filled with struggles. Everyone is fighting against the heavens, against the earth, against humans, against all living things. What is the purpose of fighting? It's for survival, for the continuation of one's life. Therefore, what you need to do is to fight. For every person you kill, you will get a reward. This reward is given to you by the Immortal Tower, and it is called the will of the fighting god. Every time you get the will of the fighting god, your martial arts and battle experience will increase. Therefore, you can fight and kill to your heart's content. Many voices sounded in the system again. Immediately, everyone knew what was going on. In this arena, they could kill to their heart's content, and for every person they killed, they would get a reward. The reward was the will of the fighting god. Although many people didn't know what the will of the fighting god was, they knew that it was definitely a good thing to increase one's martial arts cultivation. The more, the better. Moreover, the more people they killed, the higher their ranking was, and the more hope they had to become a disciple of the Immortal Tower. More importantly, it was like playing a virtual game. After killing someone, the other party wouldn't really die. It was equivalent to being kicked out of the game and losing the qualification. Therefore, they weren't afraid of death. Therefore, they were more unscrupulous and could exert more strength. The battle started. Immediately, a chaotic battle broke out. The aura of battle filled the entire arena. In that instant, Jiang Li could sense that the existence of the myriad worlds was precisely for the sake of battle. Without battle, everything would be meaningless. As the saying goes, there was a mutual engendering and subduing each other. Engendering each other meant that they were mutually dependent on each other. Engendering each other meant that they were mutually dependent on each other. Engendering each other meant that they were mutually fighting to the death. Yes, fighting. This is the theme of the next stage of my infinite great Tao. After the human world, there will be strife. Strife is the eternal theme of this world. Therefore, the next law is the law of strife. In order for our human world to be established, we have to strife and seize. Jiang Li had an epiphany. He felt that his infinite Tao cultivation had become clearer, and he had found the goal of the next stage. Although it was just a goal, and he didn't know how to condense the rules, this kind of epiphany was like finding a direction in the fog, and it was especially important. He would no longer be like before, like a headless fly flying around. This sudden epiphany was equivalent to a day of enlightenment. With a direction, Jiang Li's mental strength increased greatly. Rumble. In the depths of the cultivation world, in the heavens will space, Jiang Li's soul fire exploded and blazed again, like a star turning into a red giant. With this epiphany, Jiang Li's mental strength increased again, from 10,000 to 11,000. With an increase of 1,000, it was equivalent to a great Tao expert cultivating a great Tao. This change and comprehension happened in the blink of an eye, and the battle had already begun. Kill. Dozens of experts appeared beside Jiang Li, and they instantly started fighting each other. A tall and burly man with a valiant aura, whose race and dimension he came from, punched out with a brilliant light in his eyes. This punch was extremely fast, and it contained his understanding of spacetime, speed, angle, arc, strength, precision, all sorts of changes. Don't look at it as a simple move, but the mysteries within it could not be explained in a lifetime. Chapter 620. What kind of martial arts is this? It's not a martial arts from the three-dimensional universe, nor does it belong to the martial world, the dragon world, the immortal world, the thunder world, the demon world. Jiang Li thought through all the martial arts styles of the worlds he knew, but he couldn't find any world that was similar to this martial arts style. However, it didn't matter. The myriad worlds didn't only have 10,000 worlds, but it referred to them in general. It was just like how the 3,000 great Taos didn't refer to 3,000, but referred to many. The myriad worlds referred to the number of worlds. Naturally, Jiang Li couldn't distinguish which world's martial arts style one by one. However, when this expert punched, he immediately discovered that there were many imperfections in this punch. Although it was exciting, there were also flaws. He played it down, flicked his finger lightly, and pointed out. The arc, angle, speed, style, all the mysteries of martial arts were displayed incisively and vividly by him, and this move happened to be the most crucial move to restrain this expert's punch. Rip! With irresistible force, Jiang Li's finger completely broke the expert's fist technique in front of him. Then, he took another step forward and pointed another point. This point's style suddenly changed. The arc and angle that was drawn was almost unfathomable, but it also seemed like the trajectory of the celestial bodies. This expert's head was pointed, and then his entire body exploded. He was killed by Jiang Li in one move. The competition between the two was purely about the cultivation of martial arts. It had nothing to do with mental energy, great Taos, or energy. In this place, everyone could display their own understanding of martial arts. Whoever had a deeper understanding of martial arts would be the winner. Beep, beep, beep. Just as he pointed his finger to kill this burly man, a rune appeared on top of Jiang Li's head. This rune was filled with the aura of battle. Once it entered his body, he felt his entire body become comfortable. Not only was he filled with the desire to fight, but many of the martial arts knowledge that he had previously understood became fresh. The battle god, as the name suggested, was a god of battle, a god who was good at fighting. This bit of martial arts understanding that was bestowed by a god was definitely not trivial. Even if Jiang Li had a very good understanding of martial arts, he still needed this kind of god's understanding. At this time, in the entire arena, many people were killed in one blow, while others obtained the battle god's will. A chaotic battle unfolded here. You kill me, I kill him, he kills you. Moreover, many people attacked one person, and at the same time, there was one person who launched a killing move against several people. This was a chaotic battle. In the chaotic land, it depended on who was more brilliant, who could kill more people, and who could survive in this battle. Of the immortal tower of Star Domain. Kill, kill, kill. Dozens of experts rushed towards Jiang Li. Because just now, when Jiang Li killed that expert, his martial arts were very profound. Immediately, many people saw him as a thorn in their eyes. They were all afraid of being killed by him, so they all started to attack him. These people's martial arts were all proficient in the way of combat. Every transformation had its own specialty. In an instant, Jiang Li could feel the different martial arts styles of each world. However, Jiang Li had long been trained to make all kinds of changes in 1/1000th of a second, and to the extent of breaking all kinds of martial arts. This kind of calculation was something that no one could compare with. In his mind, the speed was limitlessly slow. Everyone's attack was eroding him bit by bit, and he turned all the attacks into data, analyzed them one by one, and found a way to break them. Bang, 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 his body swayed. Sometimes it was a palm, sometimes it was a foot, sometimes it was a long arm grab, and sometimes it was an elbow attack, a shoulder attack, and a body attack. Everyone didn't know what was happening. They just saw a shadow bypass all the changes of their martial arts, cut in through their flaws, and hit their weak point. Everyone who attacked Jiang Li was turned into powder. This was the amazing thing about Jiang Li. In terms of martial arts cultivation, he might even surpass experts with virtual divine personality. Dozens of fighting gods' willpower landed in Jiang Li's soul. This was his reward for killing these experts. The whole system was very fair, and the reward was the same as the number of people he killed. There would be no bias, and this was a good thing. These fighting gods' willpower contained battle experience and battle technique. Every more of them would increase his understanding of martial arts cultivation. Jiang Li killed dozens of experts in a row and gained a lot. He looked around and saw that there were many experts in this arena, and some were even more powerful than him. When he killed dozens of people, others had already killed hundreds or even thousands. However, this was because Jiang Li didn't attack first. He waited passively for others to kill him, and then he fought back. He didn't want to attack first, and he didn't want to show off too much. This was because he had come to the Immortal Tower as a disciple to get some information, and he didn't really want to achieve anything. It was enough for him to guarantee that he wasn't as good as the others. Kill. A beam of light broke through the sky, and a truly terrifying person aimed at Jiang Li. Jiang Li felt the killing intent, which was like maggots in his bones. He didn't need to look to know that it was a child, who seemed to be only 8 or 9 years old. He didn't know if he was a child or a patriarch, and he didn't know which world he came from. He was simply a terrifying killing god. Just now, he took the initiative to attack, and his body flickered. He was faster than anyone else, and he attacked hundreds of people in an instant. This was a person who had understood the limits of speed, and only he could surpass others by dozens of times in this place. Speed was also a type of martial art. Some people were very fast in the real world, but they actually relied on the great Tao or other treasures. But here, any external help was useless. It all depended on one's understanding of the spacetime of speed, and how fast one's speed was. Your martial arts are not bad. You actually killed 53 people in such a short time, and obtained 53 portions of fighting God's will. I can also get 53 portions of fighting God's will by killing you, but this is nothing to me. My martial arts cultivation doesn't need such a small thing like fighting God's will. That child's consciousness shrouded Jiangli, and together with him was a palm. This palm art relied on speed and sharpness, and had already reached Jiangli's head. It was accompanied by a creepy voice. Remember, I'm called Soul Child, and I come from the Soul World. Soul World. This was a very mysterious universe, and it was rumored that there were ghost-like creatures in it. They drifted around without a fixed residence, and they were lonely souls and wild ghosts. But there were very powerful existences among them, and they would often shake the world when they appeared. But this universe wasn't as powerful as the immortal world, martial world, demon world, and dragon world. But it was a universe after all, and the experts from it were not simple. This child in front of him was called Soul Child, and he must be a powerful figure in the soul world. Jiangli vaguely remembered some secret. The soul world and the bone world were similar universes. Soul Child's speed was unimaginable to Jiangli. In just one leap, his palm almost crushed Jiangli's head. If this was outside, even if this palm hit, it would not be able to kill Jiangli because Jiangli had the ability to absorb damage. But here, an attack was an attack, and nothing could be used. Only death awaited Jiangli. After he died, the fighting God's will would also leave and be taken away by Soul Child. But in front of him, Soul Child's martial arts was not weaker than his, and he was a peerless genius of the soul world. He had no way to avoid it. Do I have to kill him? Only now did Jiangli realize how many geniuses there were in the myriad worlds. Although he was a peerless genius, it did not mean that there was no one who could stand shoulder to shoulder with him. In the myriad worlds there were as many geniuses as dogs, and he was not the number one genius. However, this was a test of life and death. He had seen it many times, so it was not strange. In the midst of extreme changes, his body shook slightly and infinite spacetime extended out. No matter how the attack of Soul Child changed, it would not be able to hit his body. It was just a little bit more, but Soul Child's attack could not get close to Jiangli. This was the difference in the understanding of speed between the two. Separated by an inch, they could see each other across the horizon. This was the profound meaning of martial arts. Just a little bit more, but it was higher than the sky. Jiangli seemed to have comprehended a deeper realm of infinite divine fist, infinite spacetime. Beside him, there was a natural gap that could not be crossed, and no one could cross this infinite spacetime to attack him. His infinite divine fist's 15th move, Infinite World, had not been comprehended yet, but it went one step further and comprehended infinite spacetime. However, the moment he comprehended infinite spacetime, the infinite world had been perfected. In other words, during this block, he had comprehended all the 15 and 16 moves of infinite divine fist in a row. His martial arts cultivation showed a state of great perfection. Infinite divine fist's 16 moves, infinite origin, infinite future, infinite liberation, infinite freedom, infinite heavens, infinite catastrophe, infinite destiny, infinite eternity, infinite termination, infinite moment, infinite devouring, infinite nirvana, infinite big dream, infinite heavenly yuan, infinite world, infinite spacetime. The reason why the infinite divine fist was able to successfully cultivate the infinite world and infinite spacetime was because Jiangli had obtained some fighting God's will, which allowed him to accumulate vigorous power, and from this, his martial arts cultivation improved further. What's going on? I can't reach him? Soul Child was shocked. His palm was still an inch away. At this moment, he knew that Jiang Li's martial arts understanding of speed and spacetime was far above his. He made a prompt decision. Circulate the soul, turn invisible, turn into a ghost, and comprehend everything. His body retreated, and his martial arts showed a formless and traceless style, as if it did not exist in this world at all. This caused Jiang Li's counterattack to miss. Not bad, not bad. Your martial arts have actually reached such a level. It seems that wanting to kill you was a mistake. However, you still can't cause any harm to me. Only I can attack you. I hope that after you become a disciple of the Immortal Tower, I will really compete with you in martial arts. Soul Child's voice was heard again. He kept retreating, and with a slight movement, he killed one expert after another. However, he did not dare to attack Jiang Li again. Should I chase after this person? A thought flashed in Jiang Li's mind, but he gave up on it after thinking about it. This Soul Child's martial arts were very strong. If he fought with him, he would definitely attract the attention of many people, especially Jiang Nailin. At that time, other experts would take the opportunity to attack him, and it would also attract the attention of the experts of the Immortal Tower. In this way, the gains would not make up for the losses. When he gave up on chasing and killing, he hid himself. With a slight shake, he turned into a shadow. He did not take the initiative to attack others, but avoided the attacks of others, and then counterattacked. From the beginning to the end, Jiang Li was in a passive state. He did not take the initiative to kill. However, even so, in a short period of time, there were already hundreds of people who attacked him dead because of his counterattack. The fighting gods will accumulated more and more. He was not eye-catching, because he had only killed about 200 people. Some of the true experts present had already killed thousands of experts. These experts were the real overlords. Jiang Li saw a woman in pink clothes. Her martial arts were gentle, but with a wave of her hand, many people automatically followed the trajectory of her martial arts, and then were hit and exploded. This was a mysterious woman. Her martial arts were also mysterious. In a short period of time, she had killed tens of thousands of participants, and was the strongest expert in this competition. Chapter 6:21. This woman is strong, very strong. Her martial art is bewildering mist. Each of her moves is full of mysteries. I can't even see the trajectory of her power clearly. This kind of angle and this kind of martial art is far above mine. Jiang Li intentionally avoided this woman, and only watched from afar. He knew that this woman was terrifying. She had killed 10,000 people in a short period of time. It was terrifying. Just 10,000 fighting god wills alone could make ordinary people a great Tao realm cultivator. A misty woman. Jiang Li observed for a while, but he still couldn't see through this woman's martial arts cultivation. It was obvious that this woman was natural and had infinite mysteries. As he observed the many experts in the arena, he also observed Jiang Nailin's situation. As expected, Jiang Nailin was among them. He was very fierce and killed more than 1,000 people in a row. The martial arts he used was another set of eternal divine fist. It clearly had the shadow of infinite divine fist in it. Other than that, there was also the shadow of the martial world. Jiang Nailin's martial arts cultivation was very high. He had mixed the essence of many martial arts into one, and gradually had his own new things. His eternal great path had been modified again. Although the exact image of the eternal great path couldn't be seen, it could be seen from his fist martial arts. In the past, the various structures of the eternal great path were still very young. But after Jiang Nailin became a member of the martial world, he received the support of the martial world. His cultivation level increased many times. He was no longer the arrogant person he was back then. He also knew that there was always someone better. This time, Jiang Nalin's cultivation level was even more terrifying. He recognized himself, and only then would he change bit by bit. That was why he seemed so terrifying. Jiang Nalin has improved again, but I still need to find a chance to capture him and bring him back for trial. Jiang Li didn't get close to Jiang Nalin. He didn't believe that Jiang Nalin could recognize him, because his infinite divine fist had changed greatly, and its structure was fundamentally different from before. After the first 6 moves merged into infinite origin, the infinite divine fist was very different from before at every moment. In other words, the infinite godly fist was constantly changing, just like a person. Today, yesterday, and tomorrow were all different. His fist technique had a life of its own, and it also had a metabolism. Just like heaven and earth, it was not unchanging. This completely broke away from the category of ordinary martial arts, and was close to a kind of impermanence. In the world, martial arts that were constantly changing were very rare. Even in the martial arts world, this kind of martial arts was a secret that was not passed down. Jiang Nalin's eternal life God Fist had not reached this realm, but Jiang Li's infinite God Fist had. People were different every day, so why did martial arts and fist techniques have to be the same every day? Infinite changes, infinite essence, infinite void, this was the real infinite divine fist. In the arena, there were fewer and fewer people. At first, there were hundreds of thousands of people, but after a while there were only tens of thousands left, then thousands, and finally only a few hundred. The remaining few hundred were all elite. Jiang Nalin and Jiang Li were among them. Jiang Nalin had killed many people and obtained the battle god's will, which was very powerful. Jiang Li, on the other hand, kept moving around, dodging, and maintaining his position of invincibility. He seemed very gentle. He knew that although the battle god's will was good, if he absorbed too much, he was afraid that he would be contaminated by the battle god's will and lose his own views. Although the battle god was powerful, it was not the path that Jiang Li wanted to take. Moreover, the cultivation of martial arts depended on oneself. If one relied too much on external things, there would inevitably be some flaws. In the future, when one encountered a bottleneck, he would become dependent, and it would be very difficult to break through. Especially for people like Jiang Li, who relied on their own comprehension to create their own Tao, he must have independent thinking. Moreover, he only needed to comprehend a little bit of the battle god's will, so there was no need to absorb more. More importantly, he did not want to be in the limelight. There were some people here who were stronger than him, so there was no need to steal their limelight and make them hate him. Jiang Li was not here to compete with others, and he was not even here to be a disciple of the Immortal Tower. From the beginning to the end, he was only working hard to protect the human world and build the human world. Everything was based on this core foundation. In front of me, there are still 138 people left. After another 3 to 4 hours, there were only 138 people left in the entire arena. The battles of these people gradually slowed down because they all felt that the other party was not to be trifled with. They were afraid that when they fought against a strong enemy, they would be taken advantage of by someone else. It must be known that if they were killed here, although nothing would happen to their physical body and soul, the fighting god's will would be taken away by the other party. The gains did not make up for the losses. Stop! The voice of the system sounded. Everyone, you are all very good. There are still 138 people left, and all of you can become disciples of the Immortal Tower. Now, I announce that the number 1 existence in the system is psychedelic. She came from the Lost Land and she killed a total of 103,131 opponents. She obtained the most battle god's will, so she is number 1. The system focused its attention on the mysterious woman. This woman's face was covered by a layer of mist, and it was impossible to see her appearance clearly. However, she deserved to be number 1. Jiang Li predicted that she was definitely not a match for him. What kind of place is the Lost Land? Doesn't it belong to the three-dimensional universe? Or is it a special plane? Jiang Li did not understand, but he did not ask. He quietly listened to the system's voice. The second place is Xiaoyao Wangyu from the Carefree God Palace. He killed a total of 84,320 opponents. The third place is Wuzhen, a universe wanderer. He killed a total of 56,000 opponents. The top three had been decided. The first two came from famous places, and it was easy to find out their origins. Only the third place was a young man called Wuzhen. His identity as a universe wanderer was very suspicious. Wuzhen was obviously a pseudonym, and it was obvious that none of it was true. However, the Immortal Tower did not care about that many star domains. It could accommodate anyone, and then assimilate them, turning the spies in some dimensions into their own people. Other than that, they could also understand the myriad worlds through the spies in the myriad world. The Immortal Tower was not afraid of any existence. Jiang Li's ranking was 100, no more, no less. Jiang Nalin's ranking was 82, but now Jiang Nalin was not using his real name, but Eternal Destruction. No one knew who he was going to destroy. Jiang Li's name was very simple. It was only one word, Jin. Jin meant advancement. He used this name because he wanted the cultivation world to advance. Moreover, Jin was a very good hexagram. It represented prosperity. In the Book of Changes, the Jin hexagram meant prosperity. Universe Wanderer, Jin. This was Jiang Li's new name. Everyone, congratulations on surviving. You've passed the test of the Immortal Tower. From now on, the top 10 will become our real disciples. As for the rest, you'll be our preparatory disciples. You'll have to complete some tasks before you can become our real disciples. The system's voice was heard again. As expected, Jiang Li sneered. The Immortal Tower had many tricks up its sleeve. It would not let people become disciples so easily. They had to complete the missions. Moreover, now that the myriad worlds were gathered here, letting these experts complete the missions was equivalent to killing with a borrowed knife. The top 10 were peerless talents. They had to be roped in first and not let them complete the missions. Instead, they could be trained directly. Now you can all exit the system. After a moment of dizziness, Jiang Li felt his will returning to his body. The old man who had received him was still standing in front of him. You are actually in the top 100. Did you not perform well or something else? According to your martial will, it should not be a problem for you to be in the top 30, even if you are not in the top 10. The old man was a little surprised. You have been evaluated as a peerless talent by the system. It is a pity that your cultivation technique is incomplete. If it was a complete one, you might even be in the top 10. You have been hiding your strength? I have been hiding a little, Jiang Li said half-truthfully. However, there are too many experts here. I am afraid that I will be killed and lose my qualification. Therefore, I have kept some trump cards. That is to be expected. Psychedelic and the others are all unbelievably strong. The old man nodded. You are right to keep your strength. You will die very soon if you rush to the front. You are a person who knows when to advance and when to retreat. Jin, you have already become our Immortal Tower's preparatory disciple. Remember, I am the one who received you. I am your guide. From now on, you are my subordinate and will be under my direct control. My name is Yi Wuji. The higher-ups will give you missions and I will watch your test. Next, I will tell you a series of things to take note of in our Immortal Tower and the consequences of betraying us. Yes, I know. Jiang Li knew what he should say now. It is an honor for me to become the Immortal Tower's disciple. I am happier than becoming an immortal. From now on, I will follow Mr. Ye's footsteps and advance in the Immortal Tower's Immortal Tower. I will not let you down. Ha ha! Yi Wuji laughed. I have said that you are a sensible person. I am very pleased. If you achieve something in the future, it will be the honor of our faction. Yi Wuji mentioned his faction. Jiang Li knew that it was very serious to form cliques in the Immortal Tower's Immortal Tower. They were not united. He did not interrupt and just listened quietly. Yi Wuji was even more satisfied to see him like this. The chief consul of our Immortal Tower's fleet this time is Ta Tuesday. He has cultivated 49 great Dao and is the bloodline of our Immortal Tower's supreme master. Therefore, his surname is Ta. Yi Wuji said. This time, he led the fleet here. There are 5 big families under him. They are our Yi family, Xian family, He family, Lin family, and Wu family. The top 10 of this test will not be divided among the families. They will only be absorbed by Ta Tu and become capable generals of the royal family. Our 5 big families will absorb other outstanding talents to strengthen our families. From now on, you are a member of our Yi family. I will give you the surname Yi. From now on, you will be called Yi Jin. Jiang Li nodded and did not object. Yi Jin, let me first introduce the history of our Yi family to you. Our Yi family has been following the Immortal Tower's master for about 500 million years. The ancestor of our Yi family was a god. He was the most capable general under the Immortal Tower's master. Yi Wuji was introducing the history of his family. Chapter 622. The royal family of the Immortal Tower Star Field has the surname Tower. That's the bloodline of our master. This surname is very honorable, and all of them are expert. Yi Wuji kept introducing. Other than the royal family, there are 108 godly generals. All of them are very powerful gods. The families under them are also very powerful, and their status is equivalent to that of nobles. Below the 108 godly generals are various venerables. These venerables are very powerful themselves, and they are close to gods. However, their clans are relatively weaker. I understand a little now. Our Yi family's ancestor is a godly general, so the entire Yi family is very powerful? But we still have to keep expanding, lest we get swallowed by the families of other godly generals? Jiang Li immediately understood what the struggle was. Yes, but what I said just now is only between the higher-up. It's too far away from us. What you need to do now is to complete the mission and become an official disciple of the Immortal Tower. Then, I will bring you back to the Immortal Tower Starfield. I hope you can be appreciated by the royal family and become a capable general, Yi Wuji said. However, you must always know that you are a member of the Yi family. Of course. Jiang Li deeply understood that even if Yi Wuji wanted to use him as a chess piece, he could still abandon Jiang Li at any time if necessary, even though he had spoken nicely. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. At this moment, a ray of light shot down from the depths of the void and shone on Jiang Li's body. It formed a piece of clothing on his body, and there was a pagoda embroidered on it. However, this pagoda only had one level. The Immortal Tower Starfield, regardless of whether you are a family or a royal family, is divided into ranks. The lowest ranked preparatory disciple has a pagoda embroidered on his clothes, and there is only one level. Remember, if you meet a disciple with a higher number of pagodas than you must respect him. Yi Wuji explained. Also, you are a preparatory disciple now, so you won't enjoy any special treatment. Instead, you have to contribute to the star field and complete all kinds of missions. If you become an official disciple, there will be 2 levels in the pagoda. By then, you will receive all kinds of treatment. As your level increases, the treatment will become more and more generous. A card appeared in Jiang Li's hand. This is your identity card. Your identity is recorded on it. You can now use this identity to connect to the network of the Immortal Tower's star field. You will be able to search for various cultivation techniques there. It can even deduce the future changes of your cultivation technique. Yi Wuji said, as long as you can offer enough value, The Immortal Tower's network will do anything for you. Without another word, Jiang Li connected to the network. Suddenly, a huge amount of information rushed over, and his head almost exploded in an instant. The information and knowledge on the human network was already rich enough, and one could discover anything by searching for it. However, compared to the network of the Immortal Tower's star field, it was simply a piece of cake. It was like comparing a speck of dust to a desert. On the network of the Immortal Tower's star field, there was not only information about the countless worlds, but also various world experts, races, cultivation techniques, treasures, history, and the overall structure of the three-dimensional universe. Apart from that, there were also endless items for sale. Of course, with the help of the network, one could also deduce the future effects of the cultivation technique. The human network was a combination of the chief god's optical computer, the great emperor's relic, and the Queen Mother's optical computer. Its deduction ability was strong, but compared to the network of the Immortal Tower, it was really too weak. It was like an ordinary person with one vitality compared to a great Tao expert. No, the difference was much greater. Jiang Li turned off the network and digested the first shock brought by the information. He was excited. It's worth it. It's totally worth it. Just the fact that I can become a preparatory disciple of the Immortal Tower and access to the Immortal Tower's network is completely valuable. I can analyze the principles of this network, and I can totally help humans build the most perfect network. The human network had many flaws, and it had not truly formed a virtual world. On the other hand, the network of the Immortal Tower's star field was completely a spiritual world. Even ordinary people could access this virtual world, and their souls could live alone in the network. Humans had not achieved a breakthrough in this technology. However, there were many things in the network that were not free. They required chaos coins. The so-called chaos coins were the common currency of the Immortal Tower. However, this currency was not issued by the royal family of the Immortal Tower. Instead, everyone who had access to the network could create their own currency. The method of creating chaos coins was very normal, and that was to condense soul power. In other words, one's thoughts would enter the network of the Immortal Tower and follow the procedures of the network's currency creation system to cultivate and create chaos coins step by step. One would lose one's own soul power and condense it into a currency. This soul power might seem like a currency, but in fact, it would strengthen the network power of the entire system. This train of thought is really thought-provoking. Jiang Li was shocked. Creating one's own currency at the expense of one's soul and mind would continuously strengthen the power of the entire system. The right to create the currency would be in the hands of everyone, and it would not be distributed indiscriminately. Moreover, the entire network would obtain the soul power of countless people creating the currency. It would be much more powerful than the universe's heaven's will. Actually, it was very simple. If you gave the network a soul, the network would give you chaos coins. Continue to study the network here. I'll go and arrange a series of things. The higher-ups will arrange it later. Yi Wuji suddenly received a message, and with a shake of her body, she disappeared. Don't move around recklessly. There are many traps in the depths of the fleet. With your identity, it is not suitable for you to look around. After you become an official disciple, you will be able to understand the details of the Immortal Tower's star field. Actually, you don't have to move around. You can roughly understand everything on the network. After Yi Wuji left, Jiang Li turned on the network again. Rumble. He felt that his soul was connected to a virtual world, and it was completely lifelike. In this virtual world, he could go anywhere he wanted. Connect to the Chaos Coin creation platform. Jiang Li moved slightly, and a palace appeared in front of him. In the center of the palace was an elixir furnace with blazing flames burning inside. The system's voice said, "Welcome to the Chaos Coin creation platform. The elixir furnace in front of you will be your creation site. Use your soul to condense in the furnace. Please create according to the process. Buzz, buzz, buzz. A series of cultivation methods were transmitted into Jiang Li's mind. Jiang Li followed the cultivation method and injected a portion of his mental strength into it. Then, that mental strength kept condensing into balls, as if it was brewing a peerless divine fetus. This is a cultivation method? Jiang Li felt that this cultivation method was quite amazing. Although it consumed one's mental strength, it was actually a great supplement to one's mental strength. It was like extreme training, which consumed one's physical strength, but after recovery, one's physical strength would increase. Rumble. The ball of mental strength that Jiang Li separated went back and forth, as if it was returning to its origin. Suddenly, Jiang Li felt that this ball of mental strength came to life, and then it lost contact with him forever. It turned into a currency and escaped into the depths of the void. And on Jiang Li's account a number appeared. It was 1 chaos coin. It consumed about 100 dimensional units of mental strength. Jiang Li secretly calculated and realized that his mental strength had decreased by 100 units. However, this wasn't a permanent decrease, but a temporary consumption. As long as he had a good rest, he would recover. If it was a permanent decrease, basically no one would condense chaos coins anymore. Congratulations, you have completed the first creation of chaos coins. Now that you have 1 chaos coin, don't worry, your mental strength will be replenished very soon. Also, this cultivation method for condensing chaos coins is called the Chaos Primordial Spirit Technique. As long as you continue to cultivate and create chaos coins, your cultivation will gradually improve. This cultivation method is risk-free, and it will progress step by step. The system's voice sounded again. Jiang Li retreated and returned to his body. He realized that his soul fire was weak, and he quickly breathed in and out. It took him a while to recover. And this was with the divinity in the great emperor's relic as a supplement. Chaos coins are very rare, but the Immortal Tower system is worth learning from. We can also use this method. I think it's much better than just praying. In the cultivation world's heavens will space, Jiang Li told the youth about the huge database and the information he had obtained. Apart from that, he also passed it on to Dreamkite and some of the higher-up. He felt that his cultivation world was about to undergo a monetary reform. The current currency was still issued by the Limitless Group. Although it was very stable, it wasn't reasonable. In fact, the most reasonable currency was to create one's own. Everyone is cultivating. While creating currency, we can also increase the strength of the system. If the reformation succeeds, the efficiency of us humans will increase tenfold. Moreover, your will also improve, and the speed at which you can refine the God's corpse will greatly increase. He said to the young man of Heaven's will. The Immortal Tower's star field actually has such a brilliant method. No wonder it's so powerful. In that case, we can learn from his method and pass down the Chaos Primordial Spirit Technique, then create currency. The youth said, however, you still have to pay attention to the specific reform, lest it affects the current financial system. That won't be necessary. Jiang Li said, let's first develop a system where we can use our own spiritual power to create currency. This currency will connect with the current currency and exchange with each other. Gradually, the new currency will replace the old currency. One more thing. It's too difficult to create chaos coins. Ordinary people can't create them. Therefore, we need to weaken the process of creating chaos coins so that ordinary people can create them. The youth's analysis hit the nail on the head. Yes, now that we have the God's corpse, the mother nest has the support of divinity and is accumulating and expanding. How about this, Tianyi? You can gradually combine the mother nest with the prime God's optical computer. We can develop this currency system together. I will keep learning about the Immortal Tower's technology. Jiang Li said, The technology of the Immortal Towers battleship that we obtained is almost completely deciphered. Once this financial system is established, we humans will truly have a huge leap. With this financial system, those sects will truly be integrated into humans. Chapter 623. I heard that individuals can create currency now? Really? How? This is a software developed by the Limitless Group. It allows one's soul to enter the network and cultivate with mental strength, condensing it into currency. This currency can then be exchanged for many things. I heard that this is the financial system of the most powerful race in the universe, the Immortal Tower star field. We cultivate in the network and condense currency. This is a way to train our mental strength. It's very brilliant. The more currency we create, the stronger heavens will. We can also obtain more wealth. This is a win-win method. Really? In other words, anyone can create currency? Won't this cause chaos in the financial system? How is that possible? Actually, this kind of currency is also a form of hard currency because it consumes our mental strength. Mental strength is the most precious thing. Therefore, we are paying. The stronger heavens will, the more energy it absorbs and the more things it can create. This kind of currency is much better than the currency currently issued. That's true. This is indeed the best financial system. If the issuing rights of the currency are given to the public, there will be no inflation at all. We are all experts in finance. When this thing comes out, we know that the world's financial system is going to have a revolutionary change. The network exploded and the entire world was in an uproar. Jiang Li and Heavens will imparted the chaos primordial divine technique to almost everyone. It was equivalent to basic knowledge. However, the lower limit of creating currency was much looser. As long as one consumed zero, one-dimensional mental strength, one could create a currency. However, it was not called chaos coin but human coin. However, even so, the value of the human coin was very high. Compared to the original virtual currency, the exchange rate was almost 100. This was the real hard currency. In just 3 days, the creation of human coins had become common among the humans. In addition, people from the various sects had also started to obtain human identities and access the human network. Now, the human population had reached 2 trillion. It was more than double, but there were even more people from the various sections. There were about 150 trillion people. Originally, the major sects were still ruling independently, but with humans at the center. Humans were like the United States from a few hundred years ago, acting as the world's police and the center of civilization. However, humans were much stronger than the United States back then, so they didn't need to conquer. They just needed to continuously export civilization and advanced ideas to cause revolution and change within themselves. Now, the financial system of the entire human race had changed, which had a greater impact on the sections. This was because in human society anything could be bought, especially with the advanced technology. After obtaining the heaven-defying battleship of the Demon Realm and the battleship of the Immortal Tower, the technology of the human race had reached a period of explosive development far surpassing the sects that relied on antiquity. There were all kinds of armors, battleships, weapons, medicinal pills, magical treasures, and many convenient systems and networks. They were all things that the major sects dreamed of. In the past 2 years, many people from the sects had applied for the identity of a human foreigner to facilitate access to the network. Some people had even applied for the identity of a human directly to integrate into the human race. Under the attack of the technological civilization, some of the stubborn forces of the sects were wiped out. The humans of these sects were the majority. They were 75 times more than humans. If humans were to eat such a large number of people, they would definitely expand. Now that the financial system had been developed, it could create money, cultivate, and upgrade the world. Who wouldn't be willing to do it? In an instant, Jiang Li saw a vast amount of spiritual energy entering the network in the heavens will space. Then, it merged with the corpses of the gods, and the corpses of the gods of the martial world rapidly melted. Whoosh! The optical brain of the mother nest and the optical brain of the Lord God ship shook. The mother nest's optical brain wriggled, while the Lord God ship's optical brain glowed brightly. As expected, once the financial system was established, everyone in the world was mobilized. Everyone began to send their spiritual energy for their own economic benefit. The entire heavens will system was strengthened, absorbing more energy from the myriad worlds, and producing more abundant resources. This was a virtuous cycle. From this, it could be seen that the strength of the entire Immortal Tower's star field couldn't be separated from the support of this financial system. This was equivalent to the entire population building up Heaven's will and the network. Humanity is truly starting to explode. Jiang Li sighed in admiration. With the help of this financial system, we've saved at least 100 years of development. The Immortal Tower's star field is indeed one of the strongest sacred grounds. Young Heavens will said, soon I'll be able to refine the corpses of the martial world gods, and the entire world will expand by 10 times. My cultivation will also be equivalent to an expert with 100 great Daos. Finally, I'll refine the corpses of the dragon world and hang the ancient chaos halberd. That way I'll be able to fight against a true god. My cultivation base is constantly rising as well. In particular, the advancements of the Broodmother's photonic computer and the Sovereign's photonic computer are closely related to him. One of them is his clone. Jiang Li's soulfire flashed, seeming to grow even more powerful. Now, Jiang Li's spiritual energy was 110,000 dimensional spiritual energy units, and he had already cultivated the infinite divine fist to the 16th move. Other than that, he was also close to mastering the laws of the human world, and the next struggle laws were almost complete. Now, he wanted to improve his cultivation. His goal was clear, and that was to complete the structure of the laws of the infinite Great Tao. Once the infinite Great Tao was completed, his cultivation would obviously increase by a level. With the completion of this financial system, the optical brain of the Lord God ship and the mother nest were both evolving. His computing power had increased by several times, and he could slowly complete the complex calculations of the laws. In the entire cultivation world, the weather was almost smooth, and there were no bad weather at all. This was because after the establishment of this financial system, everyone began to build with one heart. When the living beings in a world fought, there would be resentment, and that resentment would affect the balance of the world, causing earthquakes, storms, and other meteorological phenomena. In ancient times on Earth, if a large-scale natural disaster occurred, the emperor would have to issue an imperial edict. This was the relationship between heaven, earth, and man. It was no longer a science, but a cultivation path. Jiang Li looked at the changes in the cultivation world with satisfaction. The heaven's will was strengthened, the world was wriggling, and the immortal divinity was contained within. That lump of his consciousness was cultivating and comprehending, while his main body was at the edge of the Milky Way galaxy, in the battleship of the Immortal Tower, waiting for news. He was still trying to familiarize himself with the Immortal Tower's system network. However, he did not waste his mental strength to condense chaos coins. Although chaos coins could buy anything, he would not waste his mental strength to build up the Immortal Tower's starfield network. On the network, one could obtain chaos coins without cultivating. One could directly buy or sell certain things or do business. Those who really made a lot of money would not be able to make a lot of money through cultivation. Those who were truly rich were businessmen or those big shot. Jiang Li naturally understood this principle. He even wanted to find out about Baliming through the network. Therefore, during the process of cultivating, he searched for Baliming's name. Instantly, a lot of information was transmitted. The lines of news were shocking to the eyes. A mysterious expert broke into the Immortal Tower's star field, broke through the checkpoints of the 5 great immortal generals, and infiltrated the immortal divine palace in an attempt to steal the good fortune jade disc fragment, but was suppressed by the immortal master. An audacious unknown expert, Ba Liming, became a battle immortal general. He is not an expert from any world. The specific battle video is classified as a top-secret document. Please pay to download it. A mysterious expert that even the immortal generals can't do anything to. The master of the Immortal Tower, who has not made a move for hundreds of millions of years, finally made a move. Countless information was spreading like wildfire. However, the battle video was classified as a top-secret document, and one could only watch it with a lot of chaos coins. Of course, Jiang Li did not have that many chaos coins. Although he wanted to see Ba Liming's true glory in battle, he was not in a hurry. He only knew that Ba Liming was suppressed in the depths of the Immortal Tower. If even the master of the Immortal Tower could not destroy this person, how strong was Ba Liming? Are you still studying the network? Yi Wuji appeared in front of Jiang Li. Your mission has been issued. You are to go to a half-dimension that has not yet condensed into a physical form. This half-dimension is called the cultivation world. We suspect that this half-dimension is related to a murder case of the royal family of the Immortal Tower's star field. Apart from that, a criminal that was suppressed by the Immortal Tower once appeared among the humans. This is because there are many aborigines living on the myriad world's celestial sphere. These aborigines have migrated to the cultivation world because of the changes in the myriad world's celestial sphere. Now, your next mission is to infiltrate the cultivation world. While obtaining a lot of information, you can also overthrow the regime within. After stirring up the entire world, our highest consul, Prince Tattoo, will attack and destroy the foundation of the world. When Jiang Li heard this news, his heart sank. He knew that the people from the Immortal Tower had finally set their eyes on the world of cultivation. It was a huge world with great wealth, and there were even humans from Earth. Even Prince Tattoo, the consul of the Immortal Tower, who was an expert of the 49 Great Daos, could not help but be tempted. Such an expert could naturally see that the cultivation world had been changing day and night. Looking from the distant edge of the Milky Way, this half-dimension had terrifying power. If all of it fell into the hands of Prince Tattoo, even if he refined it into a magic treasure, his power would double or even surpass it. This was under the condition that the ancient Chaos Halberd had not been exposed. Once it was exposed, even the gods would come to snatch it. This half-dimension is so powerful? How can I infiltrate it? Jiang Li pretended that he did not know about this half-dimension. He acted very well. The Immortal Tower's star field is prepared for this. With our ability, it is impossible that we can't even infiltrate a small half-dimension. Even if it is the celestial world, if we want to sneak in, we will not be discovered by the celestial world's heaven's will. Other than the brain of the universe's star field, the Immortal Tower's star field does not care about anyone. Of course, in order for our plan to succeed this time, a disciple called Eternal Destruction helped a lot. He is now receiving an audience with Prince Tattoo, Yi Wuji said with assurance. Eternal Destruction was Jiang Nalin's alias. Chapter 624. That damned Jiang Nalin. As expected, he provoked the Immortal Tower's star field to spy on us humans. I'll kill him sooner or later. No, I won't kill him. I'll put him on trial according to the proper procedures. Jiang Li was filled with hatred. He was sure that Jiang Nalin had said something to the higher-ups of the Immortal Tower. As a result, he had gained their appreciation and his status had improved greatly. Apart from that, he was also constantly harming the entire human race. This time, find a chance to enter the cultivation world. You'll definitely be able to earn enough merits. Not only will you be promoted to an official disciple, but you'll also receive many rewards. Yi Wuji repeatedly reminded him. This time, Prince Tattoo is taking this very seriously. He'll summon you guys later. You have to perform well. Yes. Jiangli knew that Prince Tattoo was an expert with 49 great Dao. This kind of expert only appeared in legends. However, he was still inferior to Tianyi in the cultivation world. Now, the power that Tianyi could release was equivalent to that of an expert with 60 to 70 great Dao. In the past, he was equivalent to an expert with 50 great Dao. However, as he gradually absorbed the god's corpse, his cultivation had skyrocketed. That was not all. Now that the cultivation world had opened a financial system, it created money and increased Tianyi's power. Of course, the power that Tianyi released was not equivalent to all of his own power. Most of his origin had to maintain the operation of the cultivation world. This part of power could not be drawn out. Therefore, Jiangli was not worried about this Prince Tattoo. However, he was worried that more experts from the Immortal Tower star field would come. According to what he knew, Prince Tattoo's cultivation was not outstanding in the Immortal Tower star field. There were many gods. He was afraid that after the gods descended, humans would be destroyed. Apart from that, the power of the myriad world celestial sphere would expand and spread to the cultivation world very soon. This way, humans would have to bear a lot of things. He had to hurry up and obtain enough resources to strengthen Tianyi and upgrade the world. Buzz, 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 a voice came from Yi Jin's identity card. The name that appeared on it was Yi Jin. Then, a portal appeared from the identity card and sucked him in. In the next moment, he arrived at the side of a huge altar. On the altar sat a prince who wore a crown on his head. He was extremely young, and his eyes were like lightning. He was also a handsome young man, and his looks were almost on par with heaven's will in the cultivation world. His temperament was simply perfect, and if he was in the human world, he would be able to win the hearts of countless young men and women. After cultivating to this level, one's physique and genes would start to slowly change and develop toward a perfect state. When Jiangli arrived, he saw a group of people. To be exact, there were 138 people. It was everyone who had participated in this competition, including the top 10, the mysterious woman, carefree Wang Yu, and Wu Zhen, who was in third place. Naturally, Jiang Nalan was among them. Everyone, this time, you have emerged from hundreds of thousands of experts and obtained the qualifications to become disciples of our Immortal Tower's star domain. 10 of you are official disciples. On the altar, Prince Tattoo's gaze swept across everyone present, and Jiangli was secretly afraid that he would be seen through. Fortunately, the great Emperor's relic godhead had a deep ability to operate and hide. Moreover, this Prince Tattoo's attention was not on Jiangli, but the people in front of him had distracted him. For example, the mysterious woman was unfathomable. Jiangli could not tell how many great Dao she had cultivated. She did not seem to be a great Dao expert, but she seemed to have hidden herself very deeply. In Jiang Li's opinion, this person was definitely not simple and came from the Lost Lands. Even now, he still did not know what the Lost Lands was. Jiang Nalan was also among the 10 disciples. His ranking was very low, and it was originally impossible for him to become an official disciple. However, the clothes he was wearing now were the divine clothes of the pagoda. This meant that he had become an official disciple. Your mission is to sneak into the cultivation world and cause chaos inside the world, causing the resentment inside the world to soar to the heavens. I will use a heaven-defying divine technique outside to speed up the development of the resentment. In this way, an uncontrollable demonic intent will be born inside the cultivation world, which can subvert the will of the heavens, causing the will of the heavens to be possessed by the devil, and its mind will be in chaos. At that time, the cultivation world will be in my pocket, and since you have made such a great contribution, I will definitely put you in an important position." As Prince Tattoo instructed, a beam of chaotic light entered the bodies of Jiang Li and the others, condensing into a mark. This mark actually had the aura of an Earth human. This is the bloodline provided by eternal destruction. He was originally a native of the Myriad Realm's celestial sphere, but the leader of the natives did not tolerate him and chased him out. He is bent on revenge. This time, when he joined the Immortal Tower's star field, he immediately provided his bloodline and a lot of information. That's why I made an exception and promoted him to an official disciple. I also gave him power. With the help of his bloodline, I will refine a talisman, and you will be able to smoothly enter the cultivation world. Prince Tattoo continued, "All right, now split into groups. Each of you will be led by an official disciple. When you enter the cultivation world, you will supervise each other. Understood?" Sizzle, 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 everyone's identity microchips showed their group. Jiang Li saw that there were 9 people in his group, and the leader was psychedelic. Clearly, this group was going to the cultivation world. "All right, everyone, let's go," Prince Tattoo said. "The leader will lead you. From now on, you will be a good team. In future missions, this team will accompany you for a long time. You must have teamwork spirit. Let's go." Psychedelic waved his hand, and Jiang Li and the other 8 people automatically flew up and landed beside him. "From now on, I am your leader. Prince Tattoo said that we are a team and will be working together for a long time, so you must listen to my orders. The cultivation world is very powerful, especially the leader, Jiang Li. Although he is not an expert of the Great Tao, his cultivation is equivalent to an expert of more than 10 Great Tao. This kind of peerless genius is also the ancestor of martial arts, Ba Liming, who caused chaos in the Immortal Tower's star field. So you must be very careful. Is psychedelic familiar with us humans?" Jiang Li thought to himself. It must be Jiang Nailan who told them. However, now that we humans are working together with the dragon world, our reputation has gradually spread. Moreover, the changes in the cultivation world can be discovered by any expert. Psychedelic is unfathomable. I don't want to be her opponent. I don't know if I can rope her in, because I can feel that she entered the Immortal Tower's star field for some other purpose. It's impossible for her to be a loyal disciple. This kind of person can form alliances and make her my ally. The psychedelic in front of him was even stronger than Long Hua. As for how to hook up with psychedelic, it was easy. Now that she was his leader, he would have many opportunities to interact with her. Immediately, the 9 people gathered together. Jiang Li realized that apart from psychedelic, his teammates were all powerful figures. There was even a familiar person among them, Soul Child. Soul Child wasn't in the top 10, so he didn't get the status of an official disciple. However, as one of the 138 disciples who survived out of hundreds of thousands of experts, he was definitely not a simple character. Moreover, Jiang Li remembered that his ranking was very high. He was ranked 13th, almost the same as the top 10. He just lacked a little bit of luck. The cultivation world is outside the Milky Way. If we leave the Milky Way, we will be crushed by the rules of the universe. The rules of the universe in 3 dimensions can't accommodate experts with more than 3 Great Tao. However, we are wearing the clothes of the Immortal Tower's star field disciples now. There is an immortal chaos imprint on them that can completely offset the rules of the universe in 3 dimensions. Therefore, during the battle, you have to protect your clothes well. Once your clothes are damaged, all of you will be killed. Psychedelic glanced at everyone present. Got it. You are the leader this time. We will listen to you. Soul Child had already become the second in command of the team, but he was very respectful towards the psychedelic in front of him. It could be seen that this person was a tactful person. During the course of the battle, he had already deeply experienced the strength of the psychedelic. All right, I have a magic treasure here that can allow us to travel quickly. Let's all get on this magic treasure and travel together. We will get closer to the cultivation world. Psychedelic shook his sleeves and a rune shot out from his sleeves. The rune expanded and turned into a small boat. There were seats for 9 people on it. This was a magic treasure, not a technology. The comparison between magic treasures and technology was that although one had an intelligent brain, it wasn't a real life. It had a system, but it didn't have a soul or emotions. This was technology. No matter how powerful it was, it wouldn't be suppressed by the universe in 3 dimensions. On the other hand, magic treasures had artifact spirit. Artifact spirits could also cultivate. In fact, when a cultivator became too powerful, the magic treasure itself would also be restricted by the will of the universe in 3 dimensions. In other words, as long as there was a soul and the existence of emotions, it would be restricted. Of course, there was also the fact that the undying divinity could be easily broken down. These were all set by the rules of the universe. Whatever the universe's will said, it was what it was. There was no reason for it to be questioned. Jiangli got on the boat-shaped magic treasure obediently. Then, with a shake, the magic treasure left the Milky Way galaxy and headed for the cultivation world. Everyone present was very nervous the moment they left the Milky Way galaxy. This was because they were very powerful and would be restricted by the universe. They were afraid that the clothes of the immortal tower wouldn't work and that they would be crushed by the will of the universe and turned into ashes. However, their moods gradually improved. This was because they realized that they could freely travel through the universe, like fish that had entered the depths of the ocean. Kid, you're not bad. Your realm seems to be very low. You've only cultivated 6 laws. Soul Child sat next to Jiangli. When he realized that this was someone he couldn't kill with a single blow, he couldn't help but laugh. You're actually not a great Tao expert yet, but your martial will is already so strong. Your cultivation in martial arts is on par with mine. With such a talent, I think that as time passes, your status in the Immortal Tower's star field will completely rise. You flatter me, you flatter me. Jiangli looked at this soul child and realized that the 8 auras in his body were like dragons and tides, all revolving around his soul fire. This was an expert with 8 great Tao. Although the myriad realms had descended, experts with 8 great Tao were still rare. Thinking about it, the celestial realm was the number 1 celestial realm in the myriad realms. Even immortal Tianheng was an expert with 13 great Tao. The martial world's martial quicksand also had 6 great Tao. We've arrived at the cultivation world, Psychedelic suddenly said. Jiangli and Soul Child stopped talking and looked at the depths of the stars in front of them. The huge cultivation world was slowly moving, and with it as the center, at least tens of millions of planets were revolving around it. The gravity of the cultivation world was getting stronger and stronger. It had already captured many satellites. Chapter 6:25. Let's enter and understand the culture before stirring up trouble. Psychedelic looked at the cultivation world and was mesmerized. What a beautiful dimension! There are no impurities in it. This shows that the creatures in the cultivation world are orderly and the social environment is very good. There is almost no resentment. That's right, this world is so pure, a true world of order. As the saying goes, heaven's wrath and man's resentment. When people are resentful, the heavens are angry. This is a sign of a fallen world. Soul Child said, our soul world is also like this. In the beginning, it was also orderly, but later on, many forces in the soul world fought and killed each other, causing resentment to soar to the sky, and it has already become chaotic. So I left soul world and didn't want to stay in that place without order. That's true. There is no order in celestial world. It is very chaotic. Since the few emperors disappeared, the sects attacked each other. Heaven Court's prestige fell and many celestials were killed. This way, order is not guaranteed and there is no fairness. Resentment will be born and the world will fall. Psychedelic said, so, soon, celestial world will lose its number one position. Who knows what world will replace it? Chaos is coming. Leader, you seem to know a lot. I can't see through your cultivation. Which Tao are you an expert? Jiangli suddenly spoke up, trying to worm his way closer to her. He was extremely interested in asking about this mysterious woman's secret. Me? Sorry, I only cultivated 3 Taos. It is within the control of the third dimension universe. Psychedelic smiled. So strong with just 3 Taos? He is simply a peerless figure among geniuses, an overlord of the heavenly law, Jiang Li praised. You are the same. Only 6 laws, but your strength is equivalent to experts with a few Taos. Only then did Psychedelic notice Jiang Li. After a few glances, she felt that he was becoming more and more charming. She became interested and said, I have seen your information. You are a universe wanderer and your cultivation technique is incomplete. However, it is very powerful. It is a pity that this cultivation technique does not have a later stage. It is very difficult for you to improve. There's nothing I can do about it. I can only deduce the incomplete cultivation technique. Jiang Li smiled. I'll need your help in the future. By the way, our most important task now is to create chaos in the cultivation world. However, this world before us is way too strong. If we were to head in and be discovered by the heaven's will, we would definitely die without a burial ground. Of course we can't be cannon fodder. The Soul Child sneered. The Immortal Tower's star field recruited us as disciples. Actually, they just wanted us to be a bunch of scapegoats and carry out various missions without any rewards or promises. We are not fools. Why would we fight to the death with this cultivation world for them? We'll just slack off. If I can't complete the mission, how can I become an official disciple? Jiang Li was delighted. He was afraid that this group of people would really listen to the orders of the Immortal Tower and fight against the cultivation world. Don't worry. The Immortal Tower is still recruiting disciples. More and more experts will become preparatory disciples. When the time comes, the preparatory disciples of the Immortal Tower will have a lot of cannon fodder. We just have to find more opportunities. The Soul Child said, moreover, there is a small team of people who will definitely fight to the death. Do you see that eternal destruction? He is a native of the myriad world's celestial sphere. He betrayed the interests of the natives. This kind of traitor is desperately betraying the interests of his compatriot. The more he kills, the more he will be trusted. He can no longer turn back. Soul Child is right. Psychedelic smiled faintly. The natives of the myriad world's celestial sphere are not to be underestimated. Many experts appeared in the past. For example, the ancestor of martial arts, Ba Liming, who caused chaos in the Immortal Tower's star field. Although he is now suppressed, his primordial spirit and an extremely powerful comprehension are actually residing in the most perfect chaos. Apart from that, there is an even more powerful existence called Wang Chao. This person is truly invincible. He seems to have entered the brain of the universe's star field. You should know that there are 2 sacred lands in the universe, the brain of the universe and the Immortal Tower. We actually entered the Immortal Tower for other purposes. Let's not beat around the bush. There is no need for us to be someone else's executioner and cannon fodder. If there is a chance, I would like to have a chat with the highest leader of the human race, that Jiang Li. I want to see what kind of genius he is. He can actually be equivalent to an expert with more than 10 great Taos at the Saint Realm. He is even more of a genius than me. Currently, Jiang Li's cultivation was only 1/3 of his usual level. No one could tell whether he was real or fake. Psychedelic naturally did not expect that the Yi Jin in front of him was actually Jiang Li. Then what should we do now? Why don't we invite that human leader Jiang Li out for a chat? Jiang Li said, perhaps we can benefit from both sides. We can use the Immortal Tower's star field to suppress him and obtain benefits from him. Then, we can also obtain benefits from the Immortal Tower. This is the best of both worlds. That's true. But how do we contact that Jiang Li? Soul Child said, this person is very powerful. I have heard many rumors about him recently. It seems that the Dragon Realm, the Giant Realm, the Bone Realm, the Angel Clan, and the Yiksha Clan joined forces to kill him. However, they were all defeated by him. This person is ruthless and has a true godhead. Wouldn't it be asking a tiger for its skin if we negotiate with him? I don't have any channels to get to know him. Jiang Li also pretended to think for a while. Moreover, I don't want to enter the cultivation world. This world is too strong. If I enter and am discovered, I will die without a burial place. Don't worry. I will display my supreme will and descend into the cultivation world to send a good signal. All of a sudden, the psychedelic spirit moved. A huge and invisible spirit force rushed into the cultivation world and immediately triggered heaven's will. The entire cultivation world flickered as if it was launching a counterattack. However, the psychedelic spirit force became stronger and stronger. Every moment it increased by several times, dozens of times. In the end, it increased by a square number. Rumble. The psychedelic spirit force seemed to break through space and time, giving off a call that came from the ancient times. What a powerful psychic energy! This woman's psychic energy is actually 20,000 dimensional units, which is equivalent to the cultivation of 20 great Daos. She clearly only has 3 great Daos. From this, it can be seen that all 3 of her great Daos are eternal mystique. Jiang Li calculated in his heart. Some special grand Daos couldn't be calculated with common sense. For example, Jiang Li's infinite grand Dao had yet to be completed. He only had 6 laws: emptiness, life, oblivion, fate, center, and mortal. Among them, the law of mortal was 1 step away from completion. However, it didn't matter. The structure of the 7th law was completed, the law of struggle. However, even with so many laws, he still couldn't form the true infinite grand Tao. But it was these 6 laws that made him equivalent to an expert with 11 grand Taos. The psychedelic spirit force continued to strengthen, attempting to communicate with the cultivation world. Even Jiang Li's soul fire in the heavens will space was alarmed. At this time, Jiang Li would naturally appear and have a good chat with the psychedelic spirit force. Buzz. Jiang Li separated a strand of his consciousness and appeared in front of the ship. Meanwhile, Jiang Li's main body Yi Jin was watching in a daze. In other words, in front of these people, Yi Jin was Yi Jin, and Jiang Li was Jiang Li. This powerful existence, why did you permeate your consciousness into the cultivation world? Jiang Li separated a strand of his spiritual will, but his real body was elegant and suave. We are disciples from the Immortal Tower. We bring you opportunities. We hope that you can join the Immortal Tower's star field and contribute your world. You will obtain many things that you want. Moreover, your world will still be under your control. The moment Psychedelic opened his mouth, he spoke a series of big words. If not for the fact that Jiang Li knew his background, he would have thought that Psychedelic was really a big shot from the Immortal Tower. I'm sorry, our original intention was to cultivate quietly. We don't want to interact with outsiders, so I appreciate your good intentions. The Immortal Tower's star field isn't evil. I don't think they will forcefully attack us. Jiang Li was very cautious. He didn't keep people at a distance, but he couldn't agree with them. You are indeed very strong. Although it's just a strand of spiritual will, I can still tell that you are very strong. Perhaps we can have a good chat. Psychedelic was really interested in Jiang Li. What do we want to talk about? Jiangli didn't want to have a conflict with Psychedelic and the others, but he had the intention of turning enemies into friends. Therefore, his tone was very gentle. It's very simple. The Immortal Tower's star field has already issued a strict order to seize the cultivation world. With this order, you should know the terrifying nature of the matter. Even the immortal world has to be wary of the Immortal Tower's star field, Psychedelic said. Moreover, it's a small cultivation world. I want to talk to you about this matter. How can we reduce the losses of the cultivation world to the minimum? You should know that when the army arrives, it's either surrender or fight to the death. However, the difference in strength is too great. If we surrender, we can still keep our wealth. If we don't surrender, we will all be wiped out. At this time, we must not act impulsively. The Immortal Tower's star field is one of the two sacred grounds of the universe. If they want to attack the cultivation world, we will indeed not be able to stop them. However, how can you guarantee that after I surrender, I will be completely safe? Who are you in the Immortal Tower's star field? Do you have the right to speak? Jiangli asked. I can bring you to meet our supreme leader, Prince Tattoo. He is a member of the royal family and has cultivated 49 great Daos. His words are priceless. Psychedelic saw that there was hope and was instantly elated. If he could persuade Jiangli to surrender, it would be a huge contribution and he would definitely be rewarded handsomely. The Immortal Tower's star field was very fair when it came to rewards and punishment. Otherwise, it wouldn't have become so huge. For a huge force to grow, the first thing it needed to do was to be absolutely fair and open. Once it was unfair and the rewards and punishments were unclear, resentment would be generated. Once resentment was generated, it would circulate endlessly and the entire society would gradually rot and collapse. Chapter 6:26. I have to go back and discuss this matter. Moreover, I am not the one in charge of the cultivation world. I am merely a spokesperson. I have to abide by the will of the heavens. Jiangli. Everyone, if the cultivation world can protect the entire world this time, I will definitely reward you handsomely. He was making promises and tempting them. Now that the Immortal Tower was going to attack the cultivation world, everyone felt that the cultivation world had to surrender. After all, the strength of both sides was not on the same level. To surrender, a person with strength had to keep his word and ensure his own safety. On the surface, the strongest one was hallucination. She actually had the strength equivalent to 20 great Daos. She definitely had a high position in the Immortal Tower. Bribing her and getting her to say good things about him before surrendering to him was also a way out. However, they did not know that it was impossible for Jiangli to surrender. Right now, they were just stalling for time and probing for an opportunity. Ha ha! You are indeed sensible. Soul Child laughed. We all have extremely high positions in the Immortal Tower's star territory. As long as you have something valuable to give us, we can bribe the higher-ups. When you are recruited, not only will you be able to control the cultivation world, but you will also be able to use the Immortal Tower to obtain a lot of resources. This is actually a good thing. In history, there have been many cases of people who obtained resources from powerful forces after being recruited, and then soared to the sky. Soul Child was indeed right about this. It was the same for companies among humans. When a large company acquired a small company, the small company would not usually go bankrupt. Instead, the large company would inject a huge amount of funds into the small company, and it would then be revitalized. However, this was a matter of life and death for humans, not a company. If a company went bankrupt, then so be it. However, humans could not. If the other party had ill intentions, then they would end up tragically. After falling into a situation where they would definitely die, there would be no medicine for regret. Jiangli firmly remembered one point, and that was that the fate of mankind must be in his own hands. Moreover, he could not decide the fate of humans. Even if he had to surrender at the last moment, he had to get a vote from the entire human race. Everyone, our cultivation world is about to be promoted to a true dimension. We can satisfy all of your needs. If you can pull some strings, I can go and meet Prince Tartu. What do you think? Jiang Li's mind stirred. What if Tartu, Prince Kotatu, is willing to invest in us so that we can quickly ascend? I can guarantee that Prince Kotatu will receive a generous return. Apart from that, there's one more thing. You guys should be able to contribute greatly by acting as a go-between, right? Alright, I've already recorded you and emailed it to Prince Tattoo's assistant. The assistant will pass it to Prince Tattoo, Psychedelic said. Although it was very powerful, she did not have the right to directly send emails to Prince Tattoo. She could only send them to his assistant, who then began to filter out the important emails for Prince Tattoo to decide personally. However, this news was very explosive and important. Prince Tattoo's assistant did not dare to abuse his authority, so he would definitely come to discuss it directly. Sure enough, after a while, a huge ripple suddenly appeared in front of him, and Prince Tattoo's figure appeared. It was a doppelganger. You guys have done well, even better than eternal destruction. You actually managed to give me a surprise so quickly and managed to convince an authoritative figure in the cultivation world to pledge allegiance to me. I'm very gratified. Just this alone is already a huge contribution. The rules of the Immortal Tower are very clear about rewards and punishments. This time, everyone in your team will get 10,000 Chaos Coins. As for you, Psychedelic, your contribution is the greatest. You will get 50,000 Chaos Coins. If the negotiations are successful, your rewards will be even greater. Prince Tattoo started to reward them. Ding dong. In the account of Jiang Li's Yi Jin identity, 10,000 Chaos Coins suddenly appeared. One Chaos Coin was very valuable. 10,000 Chaos Coins could be used for many things. It was a huge sum of money. After rewarding them, Prince Tattoo's doppelganger looked at Jiang Li. Jiang Li bowed and said, "Great existence from the Immortal Tower, why are you interested in our small cultivation world? We are the rulers of the third dimension universe. All existences in the third dimension universe are under the jurisdiction of the Immortal Tower. Moreover, in your cultivation world, the third dimension is the astral world, the place where the gods died, the final place, and the place where they rest forever. If your world wants to advance, it will take away the power from the astral world. This is absolutely not allowed." Prince Tattoo said, "The Immortal Tower's star territory is the protector of the order of the myriad worlds. You have to understand this. Respected Prince Tattoo, we also have the right to live and the right to evolve. These are the rules of the myriad worlds. All living beings have these two rights. I hope you will not take them away from us. The reason why I wanted to meet with you this time is because I want to advance the entire cultivation world. I hope to get your investment and help. You will definitely be rewarded handsomely." This was what Jiang Li wanted to say. "No, no, no." Tattoo waved his hand. "No, no, no." Tattoo waved his hand. "This is not the style of the Immortal Tower's star field. I've already said that we are the protectors of the order of the universe, especially the three-dimensional universe, which is our territory. According to the laws of the cultivation world, it is our property. We don't need to cooperate with you. The reason why I'm here is that I'll give you a few options. First, bring the humans out immediately. I'll arrange for them to become slaves of the Immortal Tower's star field. Don't underestimate the status of slaves. Many experts want to become our slaves, but we're not willing to take them in. Moreover, they can redeem themselves by working non-stop. Moreover, they can work non-stop to redeem themselves and gradually become citizens of the Immortal Tower's star territory. They will have equal rights. Secondly, cooperate with me to suppress the cultivation world's heavenly will. Then, I will refine the entire world and turn it into my treasure. These 2 points are already the most lenient I can offer you. Of course, you will not become a slave. Instead, you will directly become an official disciple and my direct subordinate based on your contributions to the cultivation world. I will nurture you well. In all fairness, your strength is not bad, your talent is unparalleled, and your future is limitless. If you manage a small cultivation world, you will forever be a small tycoon. What? After hearing this, Jiang Li's killing intent boiled. He wanted to kill Tattoo in front of him. However, he hid it well. Respected Prince Tattoo, I know that the Immortal Tower is very powerful, but we do not want to become slaves. I would like to bargain a little with your conditions. First, I hope that after we surrender, all the humans will become citizens of the Immortal Tower. If we become slaves, it will hurt our pride. This is just a small wish. He spoke very humbly, but he was actually bargaining. He did not think about how he was going to achieve this. However, Tattoo saw that he was very sincere and knew that this was very likely. After thinking for a while, he said, "Originally, I would not discuss this with you. You do not have the right to bargain either. However, the Immortal Tower is benevolent. Therefore, I can promise you one thing. That is, all the higher-ups can become citizens. However, the ordinary people will still be slaves. This is our limit. How many people are there in the cultivation world now? Tell me." Respected Prince Tattoo, there are a total of 152 trillion human citizens in the cultivation world now. As for the other demon races, there are countless other creatures. Jiang Li put on an act and answered honestly. Very good. The population is huge. How about this? I will give you 1 million people. 1 million people will be the citizens of the Immortal Tower's star territory. The rest will be slaves. How about that? Your family, friends, and various families added up will only amount to this, right? You will be citizens and they will be slaves. This way you can be high and mighty. How about that? Prince Tattoo's method was very insidious. If Jiang Li agreed, he would be going against the majority of the people in the cultivation world. Respected Prince Tattoo, I can see that you are very benevolent and righteous with this suggestion. I will go back and discuss it. However, it will still be very difficult to capture Heaven's will. Jiang Li seemed to agree to Prince Tattoo's suggestion. It's very simple. Go back and get everyone to start praying and communicating with my will. This way, I can use this to change the world. You can also start a massacre. First, kill all the disobedient people and sacrifice them to me. Also, kill all the living creatures in the cultivation world and sacrifice them to me. This way, the cultivation world that has lost all living creatures will wither and be filled with demonic aura. Prince Tattoo had already thought about it. In order to cause chaos in a world, the living creatures in that world had to start killing each other. This was the idea of the demonic world conquering the world. I'm afraid I can't do this alone, Jiang Li said. Otherwise, I want these people to be my assistants and directly enter the cultivation world. Only by working together can we overturn the world. You should know that although this decision of mine is good for the cultivation world, many people will oppose it. If it's not good, I will be deserted by my friends and family. When the cultivation world's will finds out about this, it will definitely take away my blessing and choose another representative. When that time comes, everything will be over. If you want to do this, I will definitely give you enough power and benefits. Prince Tattoo said, "Members of your team, listen up. All of you enter the cultivation world and listen to Jiang Li's orders. At the same time, keep an eye on him and help him complete his mission to overturn the world. Understood?" "Yes." Illusion and the others, including Yi Jin, all replied. Prince Tattoo didn't know that in this team, Yi Jin was another one of Jiang Li's incarnations. He had been tricked, but this didn't matter. No one thought that Yi Jin was a big deal. Chapter 627. Prince Tattoo wanted to place Psychedelic and the rest into the cultivation world because he didn't trust Jiangli. Who was he? How could he be tricked by Jiangli with just a few words? However, since Jiangli had already expressed his stance, he couldn't force him. Moreover, he wasn't confident that he could defeat the cultivation world's Tiani young man. Moreover, he had no way of catching the Jiangli in front of him because he was just a projection. Therefore, he placed Psychedelic and the rest into the cultivation world just to see what Jiangli would say. If these people disappeared the moment they entered the cultivation world, it would mean that Jiangli was tricking him. His anger would immediately burn the entire world and let these natives know what the wrath of the gods was. Moreover, Psychedelic and the rest were summoned by him at the last minute. Even if they died, it wouldn't be a pity. He also knew that some of them wanted to sneak into the Immortal Tower's star field and had someone behind them. If Jiangli harmed them, it would definitely lead to the revenge of the forces behind them. That way, he could reap the benefit. Every year, countless forces would sneak into the Immortal Tower's star field when it recruited disciples. He was already used to it. Not only would the Immortal Tower's star field not stop them, but they were also very welcoming. This was because they knew that any disciple who entered the Immortal Tower's star field would be attracted and abandon their family and world to change sides. All in all, he was now in an invincible position. He wouldn't suffer any losses and let the experts of the infinite worlds become cannon fodder for the Immortal Tower's star field. Alright, 3 days. I'll wait for you for 3 days. Settle the affairs of the entire human race and surrender to the Immortal Tower's star field. After 3 days, I won't be courteous anymore. Anyone who dares to mess with the Immortal Tower's star field will only have one outcome: death. Prince Tattoo disappeared immediately after he finished speaking. Psychedelic looked at Jiangli. Jiangli, what do you think? Can you bring us into the cultivation world now? Aren't you guys afraid? Jiang Li's tone changed after Prince Tattoo left. Aren't you afraid that I'll bring you into the cultivation world and kill you immediately? You don't have the guts. Yi Jin spoke. This was one of Jiang Li's doppelgangers, but right now, he was acting. It was as if Jiang Li had split into two, and they were echoing each other. This was the perfect way to put on an act. Even the immortal realm is afraid of the might of the Immortal Tower. If you dare to go against their will, you will really die. Even if you don't think for yourself, you have to think for your family and friends. Since we have entered your cultivation world, you better bribe us with more treasures. Then we can put in a good word for you. Shut up. Psychedelic reprimanded Yi Jin. Don't mention the treasure bribe again. I don't care about those treasures, but I want to see your true strength and the changes in the cultivation world. If there's a chance, I want to help this world. The myriad worlds have been lonely for too long. We need a new world to evolve and inject fresh blood to change the situation. Actually, the evolution of a new world is also a kind of balance. In the myriad worlds of the universe, after the gods fall, they fall to the astral world and provide a huge amount of energy for the astral world. In the long run, the myriad worlds will wither, and the world will be born from the astral world and evolve into the myriad world. This will create a cycle. This is also the heavenly Tao of the universe. Hearing this, Jiangli was shocked. He never expected that the psychedelic in front of him could see so deeply. The gods of the myriad worlds fell in the 3D universe. If this continued, the myriad worlds would die. However, the 3D universe would also produce some space, which would evolve into a half-dimension, and finally evolve into a new universe. This would create a cycle. Only the endless cycle in the universe could truly last for a long time. Therefore, the evolution of a world was the right path. Whoever stopped the evolution of a world would be blocking the cycle of the entire myriad world. This was equivalent to evil. Assisting the evolution of a world was the right path. It was to unblock the cycle of the myriad world. Just this sentence alone was enough for Jiang Li to understand the meaning behind the psychedelic. It wanted to help him. He waved his hand and said, "Everyone, I'm not the kind of person who would lead people into a trap. Since you've been invited by Prince Tattoo to enter the cultivation world, I'll bring you around." He waved his hand, and a ray of light swept out from the cultivation world. It wrapped around everyone and slowly pulled them into the cultivation world. The group didn't resist and wanted to see the situation inside the cultivation world. If they refused now, they could avoid the light. This was because the light didn't have an offensive nature but a teleportation nature. Soon, everyone stood high up in the sky of the cultivation world. They were all experts and could see very far. The cultivation world was originally the size of 3 solar systems. However, after many evolutions, the space inside had long expanded. It was about the size of 900 solar systems. There were many species and experts. Spiritual chi was abundant and there was a hint of divinity. Everyone, this is the cultivation world. Let me introduce to you. Now, the biggest power in the whole world is the humans on Earth, which is what you call the natives of the myriad world's celestial sphere. Other than them, the major sects are very harmonious. Our financial system is the same as the Immortal Tower's system. Everyone cultivates and produces money. Everyone has their own duties. In our world, the legal system is very complete. Gradually, the sects are merging and the society is becoming one. Jiang Li introduced slowly. He was mainly talking to the psychedelic. Everyone stared at the world before them, and their expressions instantly turned grim. Everyone here was an expert, an elite, and they could naturally tell that the living beings of this world were tightly united. However, they were all independent, abiding by the same rules and moral system. They had no faith, and they had independent souls and independent personalities. They were extremely powerful and had the ability to innovate. This was the result of the theory of freedom of the soul. Now there was no religion or faith among humans. What they had was the spirit of constantly striving to become stronger and the will to do anything. They also had absolute calmness. Without religion, there would be no conflict. Without faith, there would be no impulsiveness. Everyone was rational, calm, able to distinguish right from wrong, know when to advance and when to retreat, and understand the heavenly Tao. This was an ideal society that was gradually becoming perfect. The psychedelic exclaimed, "Although there are very few people in this world, the social structure is really perfect. There is endless space for advancement. It would be a pity if we nip it in the bud. It's a pity that I can't do anything about the invasion of the Immortal Tower. I can't possibly resist. It's like throwing an egg against a rock." Jiang Li complained bitterly, his tone filled with pity. This world is going to evolve, and once it evolves, everyone in this world will be able to obtain unimaginable power. This is a rare opportunity that cannot be missed. If you help me, the world will record your contributions, and when it evolves, all of you will be able to obtain great benefit. Are you trying to cheat by saying this? Are you going against your promise to Prince Tattoo? Yi Jin said angrily. Everyone, how do we decide on this matter? Don't be impatient. Soul Child looked at Yi Jin coldly. Do you really think that you are a loyal servant of the Immortal Tower? How many days have we been here? Only idiots wouldn't take advantage of this opportunity. These people had just entered the Immortal Tower's star field. Of course, they didn't have any sense of belonging to this holy land. Everyone, let me say something fair. The psychedelic said, I can say for sure that this world can advance into a real dimension. What we lack now is just time. Of course, we also need some energy and divinity. Heaven's will is fair. If we invest here, the returns we will receive will definitely be shocking. The chances of evolving a space into a real dimension universe are very few. Think about it. The few great emperors of the immortal world and the few demon ancestors of the demon world helped this world advance before the ancient immortal world advanced. Therefore, their achievements are obvious to all. If we don't seize this opportunity, we will regret it when the time comes. But what about Prince Tattoo? Yi Jin asked doubtfully. Prince Tattoo isn't that smart. He's just using us as cannon fodder. Besides, the Immortal Tower has offended many powerful forces over the years. Many people want to destroy them. Soul Child laughed coldly. I entered this planetary system just to see how strong it is. I don't think Prince Tattoo will be alive for long. Soon, he will be targeted by others. That's true. Another expert nodded. His face was cold and his body was like jade. There was no aura of life at all. He was a man, and it was hard to tell which dimensional world he came from. Perhaps he was a wandering wanderer somewhere in the universe. I Yuwuhue admire this world a lot. I want to help it become a real dimension. In that case, it's decided. Invest in this cultivation world and reap the reward. Psychedelic waved his hand. How? Soul Child asked. I don't have any experience in helping a world advance. Psychedelic, you're the leader. Tell us the details. There are two important things to promote a world. First, primal chaos palea energy. Second, the corpses of gods. Unfortunately, we don't have either of those. But if the world is in danger and we help resolve it, it will be recorded in the will of the heavens. The crisis the cultivation world is facing this time comes from the Immortal Tower. If we can resolve it, it will be a great merit. But will the will of the heavens deny it? One of the experts asked. Impossible. The will of the heavens is the will of the heavens. It has no thoughts or emotions. It will record everything fairly, and rewards and punishments are clear. If it has emotions, it will die. As the saying goes, if the heavens have emotions, they will grow old. Psychedelic was not worried about this at all. As long as you contribute to the advancement of the world, it will reward you after the advancement. How do you plan to resolve this crisis? Jiangli had other plans. He didn't trust these people, but this was the only way to buy time. Chapter 6:28. We have to give this matter further thought. First, we have to capture the human spy, the person called Eternal Destruction. Psychedelic said, he sold many of your human secrets to Tattoo in exchange for his wealth. Eternal Destruction, you're talking about Jiang Nailan, right? Jiang Li was already confident and said deliberately, he's indeed a traitor among us humans. I've long wanted to capture him and put him on trial. But now, it seems like it's more worthwhile for him to stay in the Immortal Tower's star field. Jiang Li had already grasped Jiang Nailan's every move. It was easy to kill him now, but it would alert the enemy. It would be better to let Jiang Nailan sneak into the Immortal Tower's upper echelon and obtain more resources and secret. Then, he could be killed after he fattened up. Moreover, Jiang Nailan was extremely ambitious. After entering the Immortal Tower's star field, he would definitely plunder, destroy, and plot against the experts in this star field. Moreover, he was colluding with the martial world and the demon world. His evil heart was gradually distorted. It was very likely that he would take the opportunity to devour Prince Tattoo and refine them into treasures to strengthen himself. Jiang Li felt that he should help this person. With the identity of Yi Jin. Everyone, do you know if that Jiang Mia has entered the cultivation world? Can you find him? Jiang Li felt that Psychedelic was a powerful woman. He might be able to find out many secrets through her. Of course I know. He's with Wu Zhen. Psychedelic smiled and said, Wu Zhen is the third in this competition. Actually, although he hid very well, he can't hide from my eyes. This Wu Zhen is an expert from the martial world. His name is Wu Zhen. His cultivation is very strong. Now, he has probably secretly infiltrated the depths of the cultivation world. Even heavens can't detect him. I see. Thank you for your guidance. Now that everyone has seen the cultivation world, I feel that we can return to the Immortal Tower and report to the upper echelon. Or you can observe for a while longer. Jiang Li suggested. No rush, we are not in a hurry to leave. There are still 3 days. How about this, bring us to meet the heaven's will of the cultivation world. Psychedelic was very interested in the heaven's will. I'm not going, Yi Jin said. I have to return to the Immortal Tower's star field and inform the Yi clan. Kid, you wouldn't tell on us, right? In that way, we won't be able to tolerate you. Soul Child sneered with a gloomy voice. Why would I? I also want a piece of the pie. Yi Jin said, moreover, there's no benefit to me at all if I tell the truth. Actually, it doesn't matter. If you want to snitch on me, I have nothing more to say. Jiang Li and this Yi Jin avatar echoed each other. My negotiation with Prince Tattoo was just to stall for time. I've long wanted to fight. No, I can tell that this brat is harboring evil intentions. We can't let him live. Soul Child's killing intent was dense. He suddenly attacked and pointed out with his finger. Wow. Yi Jin laughed sinisterly. Do you really think that my strength is only this little? I can come and go as I please. His body shook and turned into a beam of light that shot out in a perfectly straight line. He actually pierced through the sky and disappeared, leaving behind only a few words. You people have become disciples of the Immortal Tower, and yet you still want to betray us. I'm definitely going to report this to the higher-ups and make sure you all suffer the consequences. There were a few reasons why this avatar of Jiang Li left. First, it was to make these people wholeheartedly contribute to the cultivation world because their betrayal of the Immortal Tower's star field had been exposed. Second, it was to use this seat as a proof of allegiance to gain more trust from the Immortal Tower's star field. Third, it was to find Jiang Nalan and deceive him so that he would go against the Immortal Tower's star field and become a big parasite in the star field. This was the method. This person. Once Yi Jin escaped, even the hallucination couldn't stop him. She was shocked. Divinity. This person has a strange divinity on him. He can actually cross the seal between planes and jump out. I couldn't even see through his true strength. This was Jiang Li's avatar. In the cultivation world, with the divinity of the corpse of a god, he could easily escape from everyone's surveillance. After Yi Jin's avatar escaped, he immediately went to the edge of the Immortal Tower's battleship in the Milky Way and reported to Yi Wuji. Very good, you did well. Yi Wuji was very pleased. You actually found out about the tricks of those traitors. This is a great contribution. I will reward you. Also, I will report this to Prince Tattoo. Your mission hasn't been completed yet, but with this contribution and my help, you can definitely be promoted to an official disciple. Now, you will hide in the cultivation world again and see how these people help the world to level up. Yes. Yi Jin waited there quietly. After a while, the chip emitted a burst of light. Yi Jin, reporting meritorious service. Information obtained. Reward. Promotion to official disciple. His clothes also changed, and the pattern of the Immortal Tower appeared on it. It was a 2-story pagoda. Good. He was secretly delighted. I actually advanced so quickly. It seems that because of the appearance of the myriad world sphere, the Immortal Tower's star field doesn't care about success or failure. Otherwise, it won't be so easy for a preparatory disciple to be promoted to an official disciple. He connected to the network of the Immortal Tower's star field. He knew that to be promoted to an official disciple, one had to pass many barriers and tests. It definitely wouldn't be as easy as now. He knew that this was a critical period. To be able to advance so quickly was a hero in troubled times. Okay, I've given you your reward. Now, do well and go to the cultivation world again, Yi Wuji said. There are still many opportunities to make contributions in the future. Yi Jin left this place again and went to the cultivation world. Soon, he entered the depths of the cultivation world. Jiang Nailan, no matter what, you have the aura of the myriad world sphere on you. You're the soul of a human from Earth. This essence won't change. I can calculate you. As long as you enter the cultivation world, you won't be able to escape from my surveillance. Jiang Li was in a place with good feng shui in the cultivation world. It was the sky-reaching peak, which was said to be formed by the spine of the eternal emperor. He set up an altar here and began to calculate. A sand table appeared with many moving shadows on it. Suddenly, the target appeared. There was a group of people on it. There were 5 of them. Wu Zhen was in 3rd place. He was known as the Universe Wanderer, but now it seemed that he was from the martial world. And Jiang Nailan was next to Wu Zhen. This group of people had entered the cultivation world. They were in another place, an island in the ocean. This ocean was called the Stormy Black Ocean. In the pitch-black water, strong winds and sound waves were roaring everywhere. Many mists were formed in it, which could basically cover up the aura of this group of people. The technology and concealment ability of the Immortal Tower is indeed very strong. With just this piece of clothing, it can confuse the heavenly way of the 3-dimensional universe, so that I can use my power to my heart's content and not be suppressed by the universe. Wu Zhen smiled at Jiang Nailan. Eldest senior brother, your magical power is really unparalleled. Even the people from the Immortal Tower can't see through your flaws. But who is that psychedelic? I think her martial Tao is simply amazing, almost more profound than our martial world. What kind of place is that lost land? How come I have never heard of it? Jiang Nailan had also participated in that competition, and her memory of the psychedelic illusion was still fresh. The lost land is a mystery in the myriad worlds. Even I don't know where it is. It has only been recorded in legends since ancient times. Many people have heard of it, but no one has seen it before. Wu Zhen said, "This woman's strength and martial way are indeed above mine. We have to be careful if we meet her. But fortunately, she seems to want to enter the Immortal Tower to spy on its secrets. So there's no conflict with us. We have all sneaked into the Immortal Tower's star field." Jiang Nailan said, "But I think those people know that we are spies. Will they secretly monitor us and attack us? Will they make us cannon fodder?" Of course. Every year, countless experts sneak into the Immortal Tower's star field. The higher-ups are all aware of it, but they don't care. They just want us to do things for them and condense chaos coins, which can strengthen the Immortal Tower system. Moreover, as long as we have their identity chips, they can monitor us anytime and anywhere and obtain a lot of information from us. Wu Zhen said, "We don't need to worry too much. To the Immortal Tower, we are all insignificant people. They just want to make use of us. This time, it's impossible for Tattoo to make use of us to obtain the cultivation world." Jiang Nailan's gaze was very sinister. "The cultivation world is ours. We can seize the opportunity when he and the cultivation world are both injured to capture and refine them. This way we will gain a lot. This cultivation world is not simple." Wu Zhen looked at the sky. "Don't act rashly. I feel a vague destructive power in the depths of the heavens will space. It doesn't belong to heaven's will. This power seems to be able to bring chaos to the entire world. It doesn't belong to the cultivation world itself. Logically speaking, it shouldn't be. This might be some god equipment. That Jiang Li has some luck. He should be able to obtain some good treasures," Jiang Nailan said hatefully. "Let's wait for an opportunity and observe for a while," Wu Zhen said. "There's no need to wait. It's very dangerous here." At this moment, a voice was heard. Wu Zhen's killing intent flashed, but he didn't make a move. It was because it was very dangerous to make a move here. If he made a move, he would be discovered and die. Jiang Nailan saw the figure that appeared in the sky. Her eyes flashed. "You are that person called Jean?" That's right. I'm Yi Jin. I've already joined the Yi clan. I'm here to pass you a message. Jiang Li's Yi Jin said, the psychedelic world has already cooperated with the cultivation world. They want to invest in the entire world and obtain great power when the world evolves. Do you know that you're in danger? Are you serious? Wu Zhen's expression changed. Look at my clothes. Yi Jin moved slightly and revealed that he was an official disciple of the second floor of the pagoda. I obtained this position because I snitched. You actually snitched? Are you determined to work for the Immortal Tower? Wu Zhen's eyes were sharp. The Immortal Tower rewards and punishes fairly. Now is a special time, and it's very easy to make contributions. Why don't I take the opportunity to do something? Fight for a position? Jiang Li's Yi Jin spoke frankly. He was thinking of ways to sow discord. Chapter 629. Then why did you come to see us? Jiang Nailin couldn't tell that the Yi Jin in front of him was Jiang Li in disguise, because in his impression, Jiang Li still had the same temperament as before. But now, Jiang Li had gone to the depths of the universe with Long Hua and obtained the corpse of a god. After absorbing the immortal divinity, Jiang Li's cultivation base had increased by who knew how many times. His temperament had become even more profound and ever-changing. It was not something that he could fathom at all. Moreover, after Jiang Li returned, he split a part of his soul fire to refine divinity in the depths of heaven's will space, comprehended the ancient chaos halberd, and obtained the monetary system of the Immortal Tower. He brought it into the cultivation world, and the people were very harmonious. In this way, Jiang Li's soul gradually had traces of the sage's aura. This kind of sage was not a saint, but a guide to the future of an entire race. This was what the angel race called a prophet. That's right, Jiang Li's soul now had the aura of a prophet. Behind him was the destiny and power of the race, which no expert could compare to. Jiang Nailin's cultivation was just opportunistic. No matter how powerful he was, he couldn't compare to Jiang Li's magnanimity, because the two were destined to be different. When Jiang Nailin abandoned his race, he was already on a path of no return. He was a wanderer. Even if he hooked up with the martial world, the demon world, the angel race, and even became a disciple of the Immortal Tower, he was still a wanderer. These weren't his race, and he didn't have a sense of belonging in the depths of his soul. I think we can work together. Jiang Li's Yi Jin began to bluff. You guys definitely want the cultivation world. If the entire world is yours, won't you make a fortune? What a joke. The backlash of the cultivation world's heaven's will is very powerful. Even if Prince Tattoo came here, he would only die if he attacked forcefully. I don't have such a big appetite. Wu Zhen said calmly. I think you want to kill us with a borrowed knife? Or are you scheming something so that we can do it for you? You are very bold. Aren't you afraid that I will kill you now? You can't kill me. Even your hallucination can't kill me. Yi Jin didn't care at all. If you don't believe me, you can try. Since I dared to come here, I have to ensure my own safety first. Tell me, what should we do? The cultivation world is ours. Wu Zhen said. Of course it's a sacrifice of great power. Then, the sandpiper and clam will fight and the fisherman will reap the benefit. Yi Jin sent out a psychic wave. The experts of the Immortal Tower will definitely come. What you need now is for Prince Tartu of the Immortal Tower to take action and fight against the cultivation world's will and that Jiang Li. Then we will wait and see. Apart from that, I also obtained a huge secret. You know what? It's about the cultivation world. What secret? Wu Zhen's ears perked up. Look, in the sky of the cultivation world, that huge light is the space where heaven's will reside. But do you see any changes in the light emitted by heaven's will? Yi Jin chuckled. The light of heaven's will? Wu Zhen raised his head and looked. In the sky, a scorching sun shone down on the earth, emitting endless light. This light gathered together and spread out in all directions. There was a vague divinity contained within it. He grabbed and immediately, a strand of light wrapped around his fingertip like a burning flame. Divinity? But within this divinity, there seems to be the aura of the martial way. It's the pure martial way of heaven. What's going on? Wu Zhen carefully examined the energy emitted by heaven's will. Suddenly, his expression changed and he fell into deep thought. Since I'm working with you, I'll tell you a huge secret. Yi Jin suddenly sent a strand of his psychic wave into the depths of Wu Zhen's mind, letting only him know, actually, the cultivation world's will, and Jiangli obtained the corpse of a god. Moreover, it's the corpse of a god of the martial world. What did you say? Wu Zhen almost jumped up and stared at Jiangli. Don't tell anyone. I'll only tell you. Once your senior and junior brothers find out, they'll spread it too. By then, you won't have a share of the corpse of the martial world's god. Yi Jin immediately stopped Wu Zhen's thoughts. I know that for people of the martial world, once you obtain the corpse of the martial world's god, you can definitely absorb the divinity within and fuse it with your own martial way. You will have the supreme power of a martial way overlord. How do you know this? Who are you exactly? Even Jiang Nailan doesn't know the internal secrets of the cultivation world. As an outsider, how can you know so clearly? This secret was too shocking. Wu Zhen still didn't dare to believe it. Of course I know, because I come from a mysterious world. I used to control the myriad world's celestial sphere. Apart from that, I joined the Immortal Tower's star zone to search for the Fate Jade Disc. This doesn't conflict with your goal, right? Yi Jin was still bluffing. We also want to search for the Fate Jade Disc. Why is the immortal world the number one among the myriad worlds? Why can't our martial world do it? As long as we find the Fate Jade Disc and offer it to the heaven's will, our martial world can swallow the immortal world and become the number one world. Wu Zhen said, and whoever finds the Fate Jade Disc, the martial world's heavens will can bless him and make him an existence even more powerful than a god. We can work together. Yi Jin said, how about it? I've told you this big secret. That should be enough sincerity, right? Do you want to obtain the corpse of the martial world's god? Of course I do. But how do I know if what you said is true? Wu Zhen didn't seem to believe it. Of course it's true. Moreover, you can feel it yourself. Yi Jin said, the divinity of the heavens will here contains the essence of martial way. It's the martial way of God. What do you think? That's not bad. If it's not the martial world's god, it wouldn't have such an aura. The cultivation world's heavens will can't have such a pure martial way. Wu Zhen analyzed again and felt that he was right. What are you guys discussing? Jiang Nailan's eyeballs kept spinning. She saw that Yi Jin and Wu Zhen were communicating telepathically. She was a little anxious. Nothing. How could Wu Zhen tell this to Jiang Nailan? In his eyes, Jiang Nailan was just a chess piece of the martial world's heaven's will. Moreover, he wouldn't tell anyone about the corpse of the martial world's god here. We are discussing how to cooperate. Yi Jin also told me about his background. I think we can reach an agreement and temporarily work together to obtain more things. All of you can leave. I'll discuss more things with Jiangli. Yes. The people here, including Jiang Nailan, all listened to Wu Zhen's arrangement. It showed that Wu Zhen had an extremely high status. These people left one by one. Only Wu Zhen and Yi Jin were left. Tell me, what do you want? Wu Zhen stared at Yi Jin. You told me so many secrets. It's definitely not just for the sake of cooperation, right? What are the specific arrangements? How are we going to do it? I want to obtain the corpse of the martial world's god. The corpse of the martial world's god is useless to me. Of course, it's yours. I just want to obtain the godhead of the true god. Yi Jin said, there's one more thing I have to tell you. I really hope that the cultivation world will advance. It's just a matter of who has the control. You want the whole world? You're too greedy. Wu Jin smiled. It's good for this world to advance into a universe. However, it's a hot treasure. There are too many people who want it. Perhaps we can lure everyone into the cultivation world and carry out a sacrifice. Yi Jin's heart moved. He had already thought of a scheme. I want to borrow the martial world's heaven's will. Among the myriad worlds, the martial world's attack power is the strongest. If a large number of experts are sacrificed, the martial world's heaven's will descend here. We can instantly seize control and turn the heaven's will into ours. Sacrificing the martial world's heaven's will naturally bring us countless benefits. However, who should we sacrifice? Wu Jin thought for a while. We must have a target. Of course, it's the experts of the myriad worlds. Yi Jin said, for example, all the experts of the Immortal Tower, Prince Tattoo, and the various experts who have ideas about the cultivation world. When they enter the entire world, we'll be able to take care of them all. Won't our plan be a success? I feel that your plan is a little unimaginable. Even if the experts of the myriad worlds come to the cultivation world, how can we take care of them all? Sacrifice them all? You must know that the prerequisite for the sacrifice is to capture the enemy and make them unable to resist you mentally and physically. Only by suppressing their souls can you obtain the opportunity to sacrifice them. Wu Jin said. I naturally have a way to do that. Yi Jin pretended to be mysterious. Now, you just have to cooperate with my plan. Firstly, it's to help me raise my status in the Immortal Tower's star field. Secondly, I'll also set up a heaven-defying formation here to construct a mysterious vacuum vortex. It requires countless materials and treasures. When the time comes, those people will all enter the cultivation world to fight. When both sides are injured, we'll activate the vacuum vortex and prepare for the sacrifice. Establish a vacuum vortex in the cultivation world and prepare a formation? Won't we be discovered? Wu Jin didn't believe it at all. This is where I'm mysterious. Yi Jin said quietly. I specialize in stealing the heavens. Deceiving the heavens is my forte. If you don't believe me, just watch. He waved his hand slightly. In an instant, a large formation formed in front of him and spread out. It enveloped the surface of the sea and kept stealing the vitality of the entire world. Heaven-stealing secret technique? Stealing the vitality of heaven and earth. Wu Jin looked at the large formation and frowned. Such a domineering secret technique is equivalent to destroying the balance of heaven and earth. Logically speaking, heaven's will immediately descend and kill you. Humph. I'm from. Yi Jin deliberately kept him in suspense. Even deities can be blasphemed. How can I be discovered by this small heaven's will? You. Wu Jin saw Yi Jin's expression and suddenly thought of something. You're from the insect race. Yes, you must be from the insect race. Only the insect race can infiltrate a world unknowingly and steal the vitality of the entire world without being discovered. No wonder you have such a huge arm and want to devour a world at every turn. You've discovered me. Yi Jin's expression became even more mysterious. That's right, I'm from the insect race. I'm the incarnation of the insect race's Queen Mother. I've discovered the delicacies of this world. However, I'm not fat yet. Only after I advance will I be able to devour this world. If you cooperate with me, I can give you many benefits. For example, if you cultivate here, I can first steal the secrets of heaven here. I can even steal the divinity of the martial world's immortal corpses to increase your cultivation. As he spoke, he pointed with his finger. Instantly, a majestic wave of vitality that contained the divinity of the martial world poured into Wu Jin's body. Wu Jin tried to accept it. His whole body began to transform. This was Jiang Li giving him a sweet taste, gradually luring him to take the bait. At that time, the martial world's forces would be in Jiang Li's pocket. Chapter 630. Nice. Strands of godliness from the martial world's god corpse entered Wu Zhen's body, and crackling sounds could be heard coming from inside of him. Then he took a deep breath. I'm very satisfied. It really is a martial world body. I've only absorbed a little bit of godliness, and I'm already on the verge of forming my 15th Grand Tao. 15th Grand Tao. Yi Jin, who was Jiang Li's incarnation, had a thought. In fact, he had deliberately allowed Wu Zhen to absorb the divinity of the martial world just to give him some benefits and lure him to his side step by step. Then, he would make use of Wu Zhen's influence in the martial world to do many things for him. This Wu Zhen in front of him cultivated a total of 14 Grand Tao. If he were to fight Jiang Li with that kind of cultivation base, he would be even stronger than Jiang Li. After all, Jiang Li's current battle prowess was equivalent to that of an expert with 11 to 1 Grand Tao. If he were to face someone with 14 Grand Taos, he would have no choice but to flee. But things were different in the cultivation world. He could easily crush experts. I want to build a spell formation here, Yi Jin said. I need a lot of materials. As you know, we insectoids have to build all sorts of facilities and materials wherever we go. Right now, you can only absorb a little bit of godliness. What about your mother nest? Wu Zhen asked. My mother nest was destroyed in a battle, so I need a new one. I also heard that the humans in the cultivation world once obtained a mother queen egg and hatched it. That's what I need. Yi Jin sneered again. I have to get that thing to build a new mother nest. Otherwise, I'll just be a wanderer, a bug with no home to return to. So that's how it is, Wu Zhen said. All right, I'll join forces with you. I've benefited a lot from the godliness I just obtained. Tell me, what materials do you need to build a spell formation and plunder the workings of heaven? Then I'll need a lot of materials. Yi Jin knew that he had laid the groundwork. Now, it was time for the lion to bite. First, I need primal chaos palea energy. Lots of primal chaos palea energy, euphoria stones, devil cleansing gold, Tao spirit jades, 9 yang truewood, immortal essence god grasses. He listed many rare items in one breath. However, these were indeed materials to upgrade the mother nest. As long as he could obtain these materials, his mother nest would be able to upgrade quickly and unlock the insectoid technology again. Moreover, the mother nest could absorb the technology of the demon race and the immortal tower. When the two were combined, his mother nest would surpass most of the insectoid race's mother nest. Although the mother nest could continuously evolve, it also depended on what kind of technology they absorbed. Every mother nest wandered in the distant space, constantly searching for the possibility of evolution. The Zerg race plundered various civilizations and fused them together, finally forming their own civilization. Every brood mother had absorbed different civilizations, and the degree of their evolution was also different. At the same level, there would be differences in strength. Right now, the mother nest and the Lord God's photonic computer were absorbing godliness and fusing together. Right now, the mother nest couldn't devour the Lord God's photonic computer to form a new infinity photonic computer. But if it could, Jiang Li's cultivation base would rise to a new level, and he would be able to acquire the secrets of the angel prophet. Although the mother nest and the Lord God's photonic computer were beginning to fuse together, it was only a matter of sharing data. It wasn't a true fusion. In order to do that, the mother nest would need to grow stronger and devour the photonic computer. But the photonic computer on the Lord God's photonic computer was the angel prophet. Compared to Jiang Li's photonic computer on the Defiant battleship, as well as the photonic computer on the Immortal Tower's battleship. So many materials? Wu Zhen heard Jiang Li's divine will transmission. There were hundreds of thousands of rare materials that even he couldn't get his hands on. Although he was a secret expert in the martial world, and had a very high position, he wasn't omnipotent. I need so many materials before I can set up the array. This is a secret art of our insectoid race. Eugene said, how can it be so easy to seize the cultivation world? If we don't pay a price, how can we possibly gain so much? In short, I guarantee that if you get the first batch of materials, I will set up the array here. It won't be impossible for you to cultivate to the 18th Great Tao. 18th Great Tao? Wu Zhen was delighted. If I can constantly absorb divinity, I can really cultivate to this level. Will we set up this array together? Are you afraid that I'm lying to you? Eugene said, you don't have to worry about that. I will tell you the method to condense the array. Moreover, we will condense it together. It will be a bit difficult for me to condense this array, so I will need your help. Then there's no problem. I'll go back and prepare the materials. Only then did Wu Zhen relax. Seeing Wu Zhen's departing figure, Jiang Li smiled. If Wu Zhen could bring a large amount of materials, he would upgrade the insectoid race's photonic computer. The mother nest would then devour the photonic computer on the Lord God's photonic computer and successfully cultivate the infinite photonic computer. At that time, Wu Zhen would be possessed by the insectoids and become his. This way, he would have a chess piece lying in ambush in the martial world. Moreover, he could firmly control Jiang Nailan. Not only that, he could even incite a war between the martial world and the immortal tower. When the two colossal forces fought each other, the cultivation world would be safe. On the infinite star, the photonic computer of the mother nest enveloped the photonic computer on the Lord God's ship and slowly permeated it. The data of the two photonic computers were merging. Other than that, there was another photonic computer. It was completely formed by mysterious runes and data. It formed a huge demonic shadow in the air. This was the photonic computer of the heaven-defying battleship. Other than that, there was another photonic computer. It was a pagoda that was also formed by layers of crystals. It emitted waves of light, and in the depths of the light were many human-shaped runes. This was the photonic computer of the Immortal Tower's battleship. It was taken from the virtual divinity of the Immortal Tower that was 10 billion light-years away. One was the photonic computer of the demon race's heaven-defying battleship, and the other was the photonic computer of the Immortal Tower's star field. In terms of computing power, it was above the photonic computer of the Lord God's ship. However, it did not contain as many secrets as the photonic computer of the Lord God's ship. Now, the four photonic computers were combined and wriggling together. With the photonic computer of the mother nest as the center, it began to devour and melt. It's time to fuse these four photonic computers together. Jiang Li murmured, I've never done this because there are too many things to do. However, this concerns the future of humanity. He sat down and connected his will with the photonic computer of the Queen Mother. Immediately, he became the Queen Mother, and the Queen Mother became him. A huge insectoid appeared in the photonic computer. It opened its mouth and sucked. The demonic shadow formed by the photonic computer of the heaven-defying battleship was sucked into the insectoid's body. True fire refines the demon. Primordial spirit is mysterious. One breath settles the universe. My heart resides in the vacuum. Jiang Li silently circulated the infinite divine art. His primordial spirit also appeared. His primordial spirit was a ball of vital energy. This ball of vital energy could transform into a world, into all things, into all living beings, into all kinds of martial arts. This was the infinite primordial spirit. With the infinite Tao, contain the heavens. He pointed again. His primordial spirit attacked the photonic computer of the heaven-defying battleship. Immediately, all the demonic energy melted and was devoured by the mother nest. Gotcha! Jiang Li activated all of his cultivation. Finally, the photonic computer of the heaven-defying battleship was completely devoured and turned into nothingness. The mother nest continued to upgrade. countless tribulation bugs crawled out of the broodmother's surroundings. These tribulation bugs were actually fourth tribulation bugs. Clearly, the broodmother had leveled up again. In this boundless tribulation, there is only an endless cycle in this world. If the old doesn't go, the new won't come. Destroy the old and create the new. That immortal will eventually disappear. All the runes of the immortal tower disappear. Jiang Li trembled again. His divine will destroyed the photonic computer of the immortal tower. In the past, he couldn't destroy the photonic computer. But now that he was a disciple of the immortal tower, and an official disciple at that, he was connected to the network of the immortal tower. He obtained a wealth of knowledge and many secrets of the immortal tower's technology. This was especially so in the cultivation world. Everyone was creating money and contributing mental energy to heaven's will and photonic computers. This made the photonic computers stronger and stronger. Rumble. Heaven and earth split open. From within, a mercury-like liquid gushed out. That was the photonic computer of the immortal tower. The photonic computer of the battleship was devoured by the bug. All of its energy, data, and technology were contained within. The mother nest had actually upgraded to a 5 tribulation bug. The broodmother's advancement mainly depended on the patterns of the tribulation worms. With each new tribulation pattern, the broodmother's technology would be unlocked, and all sorts of transformations would increase. Of course, each advancement required a lot of materials and energy, and it even required a grand Tao and nomological laws. But during this period of time, because the mother nest had absorbed divinity, it had upgraded very quickly. Inside the mother nest, it had already accumulated enough energy for the transformation. Now all it needed was a catalyst, and the material it obtained from Wuzhen was a catalyst. If Wuzhen could bring the materials back and form a formation, the mother nest would be able to upgrade to a 6 tribulation bug. The 6 tribulation bug was a watershed. At that time, the mother nest would have experienced 6 catastrophes. It would have the ability to dissolve and corrode. It would be able to slowly infiltrate the God Nation and become a virus that would corrupt the God Nation. At that time, Jiang Li would truly refine the photonic computer of the Lord Godship and obtain the mysteries and power of the angel race. He slowly let out a breath. He saw that the mother nest photonic computer had devoured the heaven-defying photonic computer and the photonic computer of the immortal tower and had upgraded to a 5 tribulation bug. Only the photonic computer of the Lord Godship didn't melt after accepting the data. In other words, the 2 photonic computers' cores were still independent. All that's left is to wait for Wuzhen to bring the materials over. Also, I wonder how Hallucination and the others' plans are going? I don't think they really want to upgrade the cultivation world. They definitely want to take the entire world for themselves. Jiang Li's body moved and Yi Jin's clone flew out. He felt that he had to manage this clone well. Perhaps it would achieve great things in the Immortal Tower's star field in the future. Right now, no one knew that Yi Jin was him. Yi Jin returned to the Immortal Tower's star field and saw Yi Wuji again. He said mysteriously, "I heard another piece of news." "What news?" Yi Wuji asked. "In the depths of the cultivation world, there's the aura of a god's corpse. I suspect that they've obtained a god's corpse," Yi Jin said mysteriously. Chapter 631. Yi Jin, who was Jiang Li, told Yi Wuji about the corpses of the gods in the cultivation world. He wanted to muddy the waters, increase trust, and gain status. Of course, he knew that these credits were not enough for the Immortal Tower to trust him. However, credits had to be earned one step at a time. There was a very fair evaluation system in the Immortal Tower's star field system. That was, all the contributions one had made would be recorded and wouldn't be buried. When he accumulated enough credits, he would be able to level up automatically. The Immortal Tower's system would bless him personally, and he would not have to care about anyone else. This was the benefit of the Immortal Tower. Jiang Li could have entered this information directly into the system and gained more credit. However, he told Yi Wuji on purpose so that Yi Wuji could gain some credit. This was a proof of allegiance, and it meant that he was starting to do things for the Yi family. No matter how the Yi family treated him, he was showing a good attitude. This kind of accumulation, bit by bit, will eventually lead to success when the conditions are right. Now, he felt that he had to manage this identity well. It might be of great use in the future, and he must not be short-sighted and give it up. If one day humans really encountered a powerful god and perished, his identity would be the spark of civilization. As long as he was around, humans could be revived and their civilization could be restored. That was because he had already made a backup of the human civilization, and he could clone it again in the future. Although the cloned humans were not the original bodies, as his cultivation increased, they would not be much different from the current humans. It was better to be prepared. Everything he did was for the sake of humanity's future. Of course, if he did not do it for the future of humans and imitated Jiang Nailan, he might not have achieved what he had today. That was because he and his race were complementary. If the race thrived, he would be given more. If the race died, he would not have any tricks to play. For example, this time, he learned about the Immortal Tower's star sector's financial system and the creation of currency. If he did not have his race, it would be useless. It would not be like now, where everyone was excited. Every currency created was equivalent to offering mental strength to Heaven's will. With the mental strength offered, Heaven's will could absorb more energy from the infinite worlds to replenish itself, and thus produce more resources in the world. This would create a virtuous cycle that would benefit both parties. Moreover, giving out currency to everyone would definitely not cause inflation. In fact, the currency created by consuming part of one's mental strength was a resource in itself. The value of this currency was the real currency. Jiang Nailan couldn't do that. That was why Jiang Li's broodmother had been able to advance so quickly. It was like the people were cultivating for him at all times, and he was serving them at all times. It was just like how no matter how much money a businessman made, he couldn't compare to the emperor. The emperor's entire country was his. When Yi Wuji heard this news, she was shocked. Is this true? If that's really the case, then I'm afraid we'll have to make a new plan after you heard this news. This will have a huge impact on our strategy. Absolutely. Jiang Li's Yi Jin suddenly displayed an image. It was a vague image from the depths of the cultivation world's Heaven's will space. The image depicted a young man sitting in front of a huge corpse. This corpse was countless times larger than a planet, and it faintly emitted the aura of divinity. This was a part of the mysteries of the space of Heaven's will. This is indeed the corpse of a god, and it's the corpse of a god of the martial world, Yi Wuji said. Where did you get this image from? I snuck into the cultivation world, and came into contact with the upper echelons. I connected to their network and used the Immortal Tower's system to calculate and attack, thus stealing the secrets within. I actually caught a glimpse of that scene in the space of Heaven's will. Jiang Li's Yi Jin had disguised himself as an extremely powerful network hacker. In fact, there were many ways to steal among the Zergs. He was also very knowledgeable about the network, and after connecting to the Immortal Tower's network, he obtained many useful things. You have such a trick? Yi Wuji said happily. Tell me, how many secrets did you find out from the depths of the cultivation world? Also, the cultivation world has activated the Immortal Tower's financial system. Everyone is condensing their own currency, and it's flourishing now. Jiang Li's Yi Jin packaged up a lot of information and sent it to Yi Wuji. Those were the true secrets of the cultivation world. His goal was to instigate a war and reap benefits from it. The cultivation world was a big fat piece of meat that all the forces wanted to eat. Wu Zhen from the martial world already knew about it, and the Immortal Tower had been eyeing it for a long time. He had to instigate conflict between them as soon as possible. I also know that Wu Zhen is from the martial world, and he won't be loyal to the Immortal Tower's star sector at all, Jiang Li's Yi Jin reported again. We all know about this, but it doesn't matter. As long as they don't contribute to the star sector, the system won't be friendly to them. If they contribute to the star sector, it doesn't matter even if they have ulterior motives. Our system is absolutely fair, and it will never erase your contributions just because it hates you, nor will it reward you more just because it likes you. Yi Wuji did not care about this at all, as if it was a normal thing. How many contributions can I get from this information now? Jiang Li's Yi Jin asked. Originally, you could have received about 100,000 chaos coins. However, since you told our Yi family will spread the news and receive 50,000 chaos coins. This way, you will only receive 50,000 chaos coins. As Yi Wuji spoke, she observed Yi Jin's changes. Yi Jin's face was expressionless. I don't care. There will be many more opportunities for me to get contributions in the upcoming changes in the myriad world. This has become a good place to get contributions. Very good, very good. Yi Wuji was very satisfied. But don't worry, your contributions are your contributions. This time, the Yi family will give you all your contributions, and we won't take any. What kind of existence is the Yi family? Why would we covet the contributions of a small disciple? 100,000 chaos coins have been transferred to your account. Apart from that, you can also get 10 contribution points. Beep beep data appeared in Jiang Li's chip. He had 110.01 chaos coins and 11 contribution points. Money could be used everywhere, but contribution points were very important too. It represented the openness of one's system and the foundation for future advancement. For example, the advanced system of the entire Immortal Tower star field. There were many secret searches, and the system could help one level up, analyze, and cultivate. All of these required a large amount of chaos coins and contribution points. Contribution points were the key to unlocking the various help from the system. Once one had enough contribution points, one could use the ubiquitous system to do all sorts of things. If Jiang Li had a lot of chaos coins and contribution points, he could use the system to cultivate the infinite divine fist. He could even use the system to deduce all sorts of changes. The entire Immortal Tower Starfield system was almost everywhere in the three-dimensional universe. Yi Jin, listen to me. You've reported to me directly for the past 2 times and helped our Yi clan gain sufficient opportunities. Now, our Yi clan has gained initial trust in you. In short, I don't care where you're from. As long as you continue to make contributions, you'll be able to obtain sufficient rewards. Once you've obtained benefits, you'll gradually integrate into the big family of the Immortal Tower. Also, the Yi family will be fighting for the cultivation world this time. It's impossible for Prince Tattoo to monopolize all the credit and resources. This time, the cultivation world has the corpse of a god. Once it is completely refined, it might become a real universe. This is what the Yi family needs. Without the corpse of a god, we don't want to fight with Prince Tattoo. Yi Wuji said, I have already reported this matter to the upper echelons of the Yi family. More experts will descend in the next few days. But Prince Tattoo is a member of the royal family. Won't we be breaking the rules by doing this? Jiang Li, who was disguised as Yi Jin, had completely brought his own identity. So what? Yi Wuji smiled. Moreover, the mission we received was to assist Prince Tattoo to occupy the myriad world celestial sphere. There was no mention of the cultivation world. In other words, the cultivation world is only secondary. We can obtain it. The rule of the cultivation world is that as long as the resources are not recorded in the system, they belong to whoever obtains them. I see. Yi Jin was secretly surprised. He increasingly felt that the Immortal Tower's system was perfect. The laws were sound and extremely fair. They were also very efficient. No wonder they could motivate all the disciples. After a period of time, he would study the laws of the Immortal Tower and see if there was anything he could use. He definitely couldn't find any loopholes in the laws of the Immortal Tower, but he could use the gaps between laws to obtain what he wanted. Then what should I do now? Yi Jin asked the higher-ups for instructions. It's very simple. Continue to infiltrate the cultivation world and spy for information. I have a feeling that there are many secrets hidden in there. As long as you can spy out more secrets, we will be able to take the initiative. In short, if you help the Yi family obtain the cultivation world, then you will at least be an expert with a virtual godhead, Yi Wuji began to promise. I will definitely work hard. Jiangli, who was disguised as Yi Jin, knew what he should say. Go. If you need anything, you can apply to us. To complete the mission, I will report to the higher-ups in detail and fight for resources for you. Yi Wuji was very supportive of Yi Jin. That's not necessary. When I need to apply for resources, I will definitely report to you. Jiangli, who was disguised as Yi Jin, flew up and suddenly disappeared. When Yi Wuji saw him fly up, a smile appeared on her face. You're a good seedling. It's a pity that I don't know your background. However, that's not a big deal. The more contributions you make, the higher your level, and the deeper your connection with the system, the more the system will know about you. Everyone who joins the Immortal Tower's star field will not be able to escape the shackles of the system after a long time. In the end, they will become one of us. Jiangli, who was disguised as Yi Jin, left. He quickly entered the cultivation world and looked at the Milky Way from afar. He realized that more and more experts had descended in the entire Milky Way. A storm was coming. Moreover, the myriad world celestial sphere seemed to be expanding again. Chapter 632. The cultivation world was outside the Milky Way galaxy. However, if the myriad world celestial sphere expanded again, it would definitely envelop the cultivation world. The cultivation world was fixed in the universe. Many of its roots penetrated multiple dimensions and couldn't be moved at all. Moreover, if such a huge world were to be moved, the energy consumption would be shocking. It would cause the world to dry up. Now that the world was at the crucial moment of becoming a universe, not a single bit of energy could be wasted. Therefore, moving the world was something that couldn't be considered. Jiangli, who was in the form of Yi Jin, returned to the place where he had agreed with Wu Jin in the cultivation world. He sat down cross-legged and started setting up an array. This was a stormy ocean. The array he set up was the heaven-stealing, heaven-snatching, and the secret technique that he had comprehended from the Tao of infinite devouring. Among them was the foundation of the Zerg race. ZZZ. This array was gradually condensed successfully. Within the array, a worm was wriggling. This was the orthodox secret technique of the Zerg race. Let me search for records regarding the Zerg race. Jiangli, who was in the form of Yi Jin, connected to the optical computer system of the Immortal Tower and started searching for the Zerg race. The optical computer system of the Immortal Tower was very powerful. The information stored within was many times more than that of the cultivation world. There was also a lot of information regarding the Zerg race. After searching for a bit immediately, a huge amount of information appeared in the depths of Jiang Li's mind. It was too much for the eyes to take in. It was about countless disciples of the Immortal Tower who had encountered the Zerg race while roaming the universe. If an ordinary person were to look at this information, they wouldn't be able to finish learning it in their lifetime. However, Jiang Li had a high cultivation level and a powerful soul fire. He was like an optical computer that could accept endless information. He instantly comprehended the vast amount of information and gained a lot from his understanding of the Queen Zerg. This is the structure analysis of the Zerg race's mother nest? Jiang Li saw some important information. However, he had to pay to read it. Fortunately, he had 110,000 chaos coins. Reading the information wasn't expensive and could be done with a few hundred chaos coins. Of course, in the Immortal Tower's star field, a chaos coin was very valuable and could be exchanged for many spirit stones. Thinking about it, with Jiang Li's current mental strength, he had to expend a lot of energy to create one. This showed how difficult it was to create chaos coins. So, the insect race has so many secrets. My understanding of the insect race is just like a frog at the bottom of a well. Jiang Li looked at the information and discovered many mysteries about the insectoid mother nest. For example, what a devouring mother nest looked like, what was the structure of a defensive mother nest, the genes of an offensive mother nest. These mother nests developed into all kinds of shapes, but they were all the same. This information is actually so expensive? Jiang Li read another article, The War God's Analysis of the Mother Nest. This piece of information was recorded by a deity. It was the Immortal Tower's star domain's war god. When he roamed the universe, he encountered a mother nest. Thus, a great battle broke out and he captured a mother nest. After dissecting it, he analyzed the situation within. Analyzing the Zerg tribe's mother nest from a god's point of view and thoughts might be incomprehensible to others, but to Jiang Li, it was like sending charcoal in snowy weather. However, this piece of information actually cost 100,000 chaos coins. Jiang Li clenched his teeth and exhaled. Then, this information was sent to his mind. His mind and soul were connected to the system, and he almost entered a virtual world. As expected, it's worth it. Upon seeing this piece of information, Jiang Li read it carefully and felt refreshed. Many of the questions in his mind were answered, and his thinking reached a new height. How to upgrade the mother nest, how to adjust the genes of the Zerg race, how to use energy, and what areas were lacking. Every Zerg tribe's mother nest was different. It was the direction of evolution and one's own opportunities. Every Zerg queen egg was like a human. Humans could cultivate to different levels, and the mother nest could also evolve to different levels. And now, this piece of information was God's research on how to optimize the mother nest. In the process of the mother nest's evolution, how to choose, how to use energy, what kind of Zerg race, and how to operate were all important matters. Alright, I finally have the right direction. Jiang Li said, this time, as long as Wuzhen brings the materials, I have absolute confidence in evolving the mother nest. However, it's really expensive. As long as I have enough chaos coins, I can buy all kinds of technological information and let humanity's technology advance another step. Now, although humanity had obtained all kinds of scientific information from the Immortal Tower's battleship, the technology was not complete. The team of scientists led by Jiang Zhendong had encountered a bottleneck during their research, and their progress was very slow. One had to know that there was a huge difference between obtaining technology and researching it on a large scale. Jiang Li was in charge of obtaining all kinds of technology, while Humanities Science Institute was in charge of applying these technologies to production. Jiang Li felt more and more that connecting to the Immortal Tower's star field was a far-sighted thing. This star field system network was simply a huge treasure trove, and he could continuously dig out good things from it, allowing the race to prosper. What I need now is time. If there was time, give us humans 200 years. As long as we were given another 200 years, we would be able to stand tall in the forest of the myriad worlds and not fear anyone. But now we can't do that. Jiang Li suddenly felt that things were very tough for him. Back then, Wang Chao had shot down the Prophet's battleship, causing humanity to be in a period of 200 years of peace. Now, Jiang Li felt that humanity's calamity came wave after wave, and there was no stopping at all. There was no such thing as an era of peaceful development. In the first world, the 6 major races had attacked, and he had almost died. Then, something had happened to the myriad world's celestial sphere, and humanity had moved on a large scale. Now, they were being targeted by the Immortal Tower's star field. Life was really full of troubles. When would the entire human race ever have an era of peaceful development? Ha ha ha! A burst of laughter rang out. Wu Zhen appeared here and saw that Jiang Li was unceasingly setting up a great formation. It was extremely profound, and a queen insect was being born within it. It seemed as though it was about to forcefully squeeze out from the depths of the void. He knew that Jiang Li truly did not lie to him. Have you brought the materials? Jiang Li's incarnation of Yi Jin immediately sent out a psychic wave. Now I will impart the cultivation method of this mother nest formation to you, so that you can control this formation. This way you can be at ease. In the process of upgrading the formation, you will absorb more divinity, and I will gradually steal the entire world's origin, restoring the original embryonic form of the mother nest. The psychic wave transmitted the secrets of the entire formation. Wu Zhen carefully looked at everything in front of him, and gradually understood the structure of the mother nest formation. A smile gradually appeared on his face, but he was still wary. Of course, Jiang Li knew that he was wary, so he acted very magnanimously. Come, enter the main formation. With a wave of his hand, Wu Zhen stationed himself in the center of the formation, and sure enough, he felt waves of divinity from the martial world's gods rushing over. He absorbed a mouthful, and his whole body crackled. It was so comfortable that words could not describe it. I have brought the materials here. This is my family's wealth. With a wave of his hand, many worlds appeared on Wu Zhen's body, and inside each world was a large warehouse. In those warehouses there were countless materials. Only with his identity and his savings could he obtain so many materials. The martial world was originally rich in resources, and there was everything. And he himself was an expert of the 14 great paths. This kind of expert status was very high, so he naturally obtained a lot of resources. As expected, you have brought all the resources. Jiang Li was secretly delighted. I will refine this formation first. Since you have told me the method of the formation, I will not stand on ceremony. Wu Zhen laughed loudly, and with a wave of his whole body suddenly revealed a completely bronze-colored skin. He used his hand to write an ancient word, martial. In the language of Earth, the word martial was stop war. But in the martial world, the meaning of the word martial was not this, but the limit, the supreme heavenly Tao, the most honorable supreme realm. Martial arts represented everything. You can refine it. Jiang Li knew that this was Wu Zhen seizing the initiative, but he was still very wary. Other than that, Wu Zhen even wanted to seize the formation and obtain the secrets of the insect race. Martial subduing the world, heavenly Tao daybreak. Wu Zhen dissolved the materials one by one, leaving his own imprint on them. His soul flame appeared, which was in the shape of a human. This flame surged, releasing the strongest aura in all directions. His spirit could completely shoot into the distant starry sky, who knew how many light years away. He was even stronger than Jiang Li. Countless materials were melted, turning into many insect shapes, which gathered in the formation. The word martial actually appeared on the body of the insect in the formation. Obviously, Wu Zhen was seizing control. He wanted to firmly grasp the initiative in his hands first. Kill! He roared again. The sun and moon changed, and the heaven and earth trembled. One after another, the materials in the worlds exploded, evolving into various kinds of insect race. Divinity, the undying divinity, was absorbed by the insect. To be more precise, it was stolen. Then, the divinity was fed back into Wu Zhen's body. Wu Zhen's body resounded like thunder. Suddenly, a great Tao rushed out, and then a ring of flames appeared outside his soul flame. He had actually cultivated the 15th great Tao. Ha 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 ha, as expected, you didn't lie to me. The speed of absorbing divinity is much faster. Just like this, I've saved at least 1,000 years of hard work. Even if I cultivated for 1,000 years in the martial world, I might not be able to reach this stage. Moreover, I don't have 1,000 years to wait. I've already used up a few thousand years. Wuzhen continued to cultivate. I want to refine 16 great Taos. The contradiction between the divinity and the great Tao prevents me from exploding. This is simply too good. Jiangli watched as he advanced and cultivated, not the least bit afraid. In the depths of the cultivation world, it didn't matter how strong Wuzhen's cultivation was. He was waiting for the moment when Wuzhen's cultivation reached the strongest. At that time, he could execute his plan. The stronger Wuzhen was, the better. Chapter 633. Immortal Divinity, Descend. Wuzhen raised his arms high, accepting the divinity. The formation started to show its true form. Jiangli could feel the broodmother's photon robber expanding, about to ascend to the 6th tribulation level. Countless materials were infused by Wuzhen, and the broodmother finally revealed its terrifying side. In the depths of planet infinity, inside the broodmother's nest, countless oddly shaped bugs were born. They weren't robber bugs but secret bugs. They were mysterious bugs that comprehended the domain of gods and disintegrated divinity. They stole god nations without anyone knowing. They could even enter the virtual world and turn into viruses to steal many things. Of course, Jiangli didn't have the ability to put them into the virtual world of the Immortal Tower's star field. The system was too powerful, even surpassing the will of the immortal world. Even if the bug race, which could kill gods, entered it, they would die. In history, many bug races had invaded the Immortal Tower's system in an attempt to steal endless knowledge and wealth, but they had all failed. Countless broodmother nests had been destroyed or captured. As the two strongest sacred lands, the systems of the Immortal Tower and the universe's brain star field couldn't be invaded. They seemed to represent the yin and yang of the 3D universe. One origin gave birth to yin and yang gave birth to the 3 talents, and the 3 talents gave birth to all things. The entire 3D universe was like a taiji, and the universe's brain and the Immortal Tower's star field were the 2 points of the taiji. Ha ha ha, it was originally impossible for me to condense 15 grand Daos. No matter how many resources I had, the pinnacle of the Grand Daos was extremely difficult. Every additional Grand Daos meant more danger. But with the divinity, especially the martial world's god, the Grand Daos and Grand Daos were extremely harmonious. They wouldn't clash. Wuzhen laughed maniacally again. Jiang Li's Yi Jin saw the embryonic form of the 16 Grand Daos slowly condense inside his body. The materials he brought with him were not only for the formation, but also for his own cultivation of the Great Path. For example, the martial world's celestial martial stone, spirit metal, great Tao divine jade, and cloud chi of the 9 heavens. These things were very useful for the cultivation of the laws of nature and the Great Path. Some could even automatically generate laws of nature. Crack. Wuzhen had successfully cultivated all 16 great Taos. He had cultivated a total of 2 great paths in this place. This was simply a rare speed. Normally, when an expert like him wanted to successfully cultivate a great path, he would have to be very careful. He would have a slim chance of survival, and he would have to undergo a life and death seclusion. He could not be disturbed by the outside world. Moreover, there was only a 1/10th chance of success. It would take hundreds or even thousands of years. The more great Daos there were, the more dangerous it would be to advance. It would be even more difficult. Therefore, many experts would be unable to advance after reaching a certain level. They could only stay at that level forever and die of old age. Even the lifespan of a god was very short compared to the entire universe. After an unknown amount of time, Wu Zhen suddenly shook again. He had successfully cultivated the 17th Great Tao. His body was immersed in the perfect wriggling. He seemed to have forgotten all the movements in the outside world, and did not pay any attention to Jiangli. And Jiangli's Yijin quietly looked at the sky. In the depths of heaven's will space, the martial god's corpse was rapidly disintegrating. With Wu Zhen's help, the martial god's corpse disintegrated very quickly. It was not that Wu Zhen was very powerful, but because Wu Zhen was from the martial world, the divine aura in the martial god's corpse resonated. This way, the martial god's corpse felt that it could pass on its power and no longer resist the refinement. The stronger Wu Zhen's cultivation was, the more he helped heaven's will to refine the god's corpse. Vaguely, in heaven's will space, the god's corpse was disintegrating at an accelerated speed, turning into all things. At the edge of the cultivation world, large amounts of land, oceans, and mineral veins formed again. Continents, each continent spanned several light years. Back then, the star fields and spirit stone planets formed by the three gods' corpses were about tens of thousands of light years. Now, the cultivation world only spanned several hundred light years. However, with such a large area, even if the number of humans increased by 10,000, they would still be able to survive. Of course, if the entire human race wanted to advance, there would not be enough resources. After all, the difference in resources between a normal person and a saint was like heaven and earth. Forget a saint, even a meditative level expert would consume a lot of resources on a planet. Great Tao experts would consume even more. Back then, the cultivation world could not produce a single Great Tao expert. That was because of the restrictions of the cultivation world's heaven's will, afraid that the appearance of a Great Tao expert would shake the world's origin. Now, there were very few Great Tao experts in the entire world. In the universe, for cultivation, resources were everything. In the depths of heaven's will space, Jiang Li's soul fire was with heaven's will, working together to refine the martial god's corpse. Suddenly, the young man of Tianyi opened his eyes. It's time. We can raise this person's cultivation to the limit in one go and then modify him. The perfect aura of the martial world on him will be recognized by the martial world at a deeper level. We can then bury the best chess piece in the depths of the martial world. All right, let's begin. Jiang Li nodded. His soul fire also expanded, wrapping around the huge martial god's corpse. Suddenly, the inside of the martial god's corpse began to explode. Buzz, Wu Zhen, who was in the formation below, sensed it, and his body expanded. In just a moment, 18 of the 17 Great Tao had been successfully condensed. Then, he stood up, his eyes shining brightly, as if he was about to condense a virtual godhood. The cultivation technique he cultivated used 18 Great Tao as the foundation to condense a virtual godhood. In other words, he could no longer condense 19 Great Tao, because in the beginning, he had already chosen 18 Great Tao to form a virtual godhood. If he wanted to choose something else, he would have to get rid of the remaining 18 Great Tao and start from scratch, which was absolutely impossible. But Jiang Li's infinite Great Tao was different. He was not in a hurry to cultivate a Great Tao, but just like that, there were endless possibilities for development in the future. The Grand Emperor Sarairo was even more incredible, containing thousands of different Great Tao cultivation techniques. The mere thought of combining thousands of Great Taos was terrifying. At the very least, Jiang Li didn't dare to imagine how it had been done. No wonder the Grand Emperor Saraira hadn't been destroyed by the third-dimensional universe. It definitely deserved to be called Monarch Godhood. I've finally completed 18 Great Taos. Now it's time to form Virtual Godhood. Wu Zhen looked over at Jiang Li as Yi Jin and said, "Brother Yi Jin, you didn't lie to me this time. However, I already have control of this formation, and since you're the queen of the insectoids, why don't I put you in it?" What are you doing? Jiang Li, as Yi Jin said, putting on an expression of displeasure. It's nothing. You're an insectoid, so how could I possibly trust you? All the worlds in the universe, even the demon world, hated the insect race. No one had a good impression of the insect race. If this world was divided into 3 camps, evil, neutral, and good, then the insect race did not belong to any camp. They were despised by all living beings. I never believed you from the beginning. Wu Zhen reached out toward Jiang Li as Yi Jin. You're the queen of the insectoids. I'll capture you, assimilate the brood mother, and steal the Tao of heaven. In the blink of an eye, I'll be able to control the essence of the cultivation world. You know, during the process I established a connection with the corpse of the martial world god, and it'll bless me and make me stronger. You're too arrogant. People from the cultivation world are too arrogant. I can't believe you profaned the corpse of the martial world god. As a member of the martial world, there's no way I'll let something like that happen. Just as I thought. Jiang Li as Yi Jin laughed. Just as I expected, you fell out with me. It looks like you're the one who didn't abide by the agreement, not me. In that case, I won't have the reputation of being a treacherous person. The essence of the cultivation world, heaven's will, bless me. Rumble. The entire cultivation world was shaking. It seemed that all the power was concentrated on one point. Infinite heaven's origin. Jiang Li as Yi Jin pointed, and Wu Zhen couldn't bear it at all. He was immediately pressed to the ground by a great force, unable to move. In the cultivation world, when Jiang Li used Infinite Divine Fist, the most powerful move was Infinite Heaven's Origin, because the place he hit was the real Heaven's Origin. Jiang Li's finger was equivalent to concentrating all the power of the cultivation world into one point. Who are you? Even though he was an expert with 18 great paths, Wu Zhen couldn't get up at all. He was in despair, knowing that the Yi Jin in front of him was definitely not a simple character. Me? I am the master of the cultivation world. Jiang Li smiled. All of you have invaded my world, so I naturally have to set up all kinds of traps to deal with you. Now you will become my loyal servant, and no one will be able to tell. No. Wu Zhen knew that things were not good. His soul was about to fall, and he suddenly chanted a long incantation. Great martial world's will, I sacrifice myself to break the bindings. He actually made a prompt decision to sacrifice himself to summon the martial world's will. What a prompt decision, as expected of an expert in the martial world. Fortunately, I was prepared, otherwise I would have died with you. Jiang Li was shocked. When Wu Zhen encountered danger, he immediately sacrificed himself and was ruthless to himself. This was in line with the essence of martial arts. He waved his hand, and many insects appeared out of thin air, rushing into Wu Zhen's body, immediately interrupting the sacrifice. Then, the densely packed insects seeped into Wu Zhen's body. Wu Zhen was quickly devoured by the insects, and then his body changed, returning to his original appearance. He was tall, his palms were wide, and his eyes were sharp, almost as if they could pierce through the endless void. However, his body was now motionless, and he was in a daze. He was controlled by Jiang Li. Soon, Jiang Li would change his way of thinking. Chapter 634. I, Wu Zhen, can't accept this. I really can't. I can't accept being someone's puppet. I don't want to change my view of the world. Wu Zhen's original name was Wu Zhen. Jiang Li didn't simply treat him as a puppet, nor did he enslave him. Generally speaking, he didn't enslave him. Instead, he changed his view of the world, causing his way of thinking to undergo a profound change. He made him believe that his own set of order, the establishment of the human world, was the true way of the king. The immortal Tao and martial Tao were all human Tao. The human world was the largest world, the number one world. In the myriad worlds, it was the true foundation. Human world, human Tao. Heaven and earth are evolving. When all things evolve to the highest stage, they will become humans. Humans aren't restricted to certain genes. Humans are a way of thinking. Equality, love, order, morality, strength, self-confidence, transformation of everything, fearlessness, mutual help, harmony of heaven and earth. This is human Tao. Such people are the masters of the multiverse. They can maintain the normal operation of the universe. Humans are the maintainers of the heavenly Tao. Building the human world is something that can't wait. Jiang Li was instilling his will and view of the world. He knew that what he wanted to do was to establish the foundation of heaven and earth. Even for immortals, demons, and martial gods, the foundation of development was people. Without people, there was no need to mention anything. People could develop into limitless possibilities. Where there were people, there was limitless. This was the infinite human world. Suddenly, his theory matured. His sixth law, the human law, was perfected. His seventh law, the struggle law, was also wriggling. It seemed like it would condense into a real form in an instant. Now, his infinite great Tao laws were void, life, oblivion, fate, the center, the human world, and struggle. They were almost perfected. But what was different from others was that his laws could change at any time. He could condense more runes. This was something that other people's cultivation couldn't compare to. For example, when his emptiness law started to condense, there were 8 million runes, but as time passed and he comprehended more and more of the essence of emptiness, the runes began to change again, and there were more than 10 million runes. As for others, they couldn't create their own laws. They could only cultivate according to the footsteps of their predecessors. They couldn't change it at all. Once they did, the energy would lose balance. Bang! There was a loud explosion. He was changing Wu Zhen's worldview with his own worldview. Gradually, Wu Zhen accepted Jiang Li's worldview and was successfully brainwashed. This was a change in his own thinking, and it could not be said that he was being brainwashed. Rather, it was Jiang Li who instilled the correct knowledge into him, and they built the human realm together. All of a sudden, Wu Zhen's aura became completely different. His aura, which had originally been sharp, became gentle. His ambition, which could devour the heavens and earth, was hidden within. When Jiang Li saw the changes, he immediately said, "Brother, you've comprehended it. Very good, let's build the human realm together." Human realm, this idea is indeed not bad. After Wu Zhen was forcefully brainwashed and changed his worldview, he seemed to have become a different person. There were no signs of slavery on his body, but it was his own thoughts that had changed. If his body was enslaved, then the martial world's heavenly will would definitely be able to detect it. However, his thoughts had changed on their own. Even the strongest existence would not be able to detect it. Wu Zhen became a person who shared the same ideals and goals as Jiang Li. He was a person who fought for mankind and the human realm. From now on, he could be an important chess piece in the martial world. It should be known that originally, he was only an expert with 14 great paths. Now, he had actually cultivated 4 great paths in one go, becoming a person with 18 great paths. His status in the martial world had suddenly increased by many times. Then go back to the martial world's camp and think of a way to contribute to the cultivation world through the great calamity. Jiang Li waved his hand. Wu Zhen flew up and disappeared into the boundless horizon. He went back to manage various things. Now that he had returned to the martial world's camp, he could obtain a very high status and resources. Moreover, now that his spirit was communicating with Jiang Li, he could let Jiang Li know a series of things in the martial world at all times. The Great Formation has been formed. The Mother Nest has been promoted. After Wu Zhen left, Jiang Li flicked his finger, and the Great Formation in front of him condensed, turning into a small bug that appeared in his palm. This was a mysterious bug that the mother nest had promoted. Jiangli brought the bug to the depths of the mother nest on planet Infinity. He saw that the mother nest was still devouring the Master God's AI, but the two were still unable to merge. Mother nest's AI, start the promotion. Transform into a 6 tribulation bug. Jiangli shot the bug out of his palm. Immediately, the mother nest's AI expanded and devoured the bug. This bug was formed from all the materials that Wu Zhen had brought with him. It possessed a mysterious power. The resources that Wu Zhen had brought with him were all good stuff that couldn't be found in the cultivation world. Originally, the 5 tribulation mother nest was already very strong. But with the addition of this bug, it immediately began to transform into a 6 tribulation mother nest. The 6 tribulation mother nest was indeed different. During the promotion, the countless tribulation bugs transformed into data and entered the Master God's AI. Within the depths of the Master God's AI, a kingdom of heaven appeared. It was vast and boundless, and in the depths of the kingdom of heaven was an angel. The angel had countless wings, and as they flapped, they would unleash a tempest of information. All of the calculations came from this angel. This angel contained the most profound secrets of the angel race. Perhaps the Master God's AI wasn't very powerful, but it was the most mysterious and profound of all. Although Jiangli had 100% control over the AI, he still didn't understand its deepest secret. But now, things were different. The bugs in the mother nest transformed into data, burrowing into the kingdom of heaven and attacking the angel. The angel trembled non-stop as the bugs devoured the light. The bugs of the 6 tribulation mother nest were shockingly powerful. There was nothing they couldn't devour. They devoured data and weakened the photonic computers. At this time, Heavenwill knew that this was a critical moment. He transformed his will into data and sent it into the Master God's AI soul flame. Jiangli wasn't willing to be outdone. Pushing his cultivation base to the limit, he drew on his Grand Emperor Sarira in an attempt to melt the angel. However, the angel seemed to know that it was in danger. A scepter suddenly appeared in its hand, which blocked all of the incoming attacks and pulsed with primal chaos energy. The Staff of the Prophet. That's the aura of the Staff of the Prophet, Heavenwill said. That's the aura of the Staff of the Prophet. The Staff of the Prophet is a pre-heaven treasure similar to the halberd of the ancient Chaos era. It's obviously connected to the Staff of the Prophet. It'll be very difficult to destroy, but with the halberd of the ancient chaoses, I can use primal chaos to destroy primal chaos. Crash. Boundless amounts of data transformed into the halberd of the ancient chaoses, which appeared in the data core of the photonic computer. Heavenwill's halberd of the ancient chaoses had destroyed the Staff of the Prophet with a single blow. That was the power of the halberd of the ancient chaoses. Without the halberd of the ancient chaoses, he wouldn't have been able to assimilate the photonic computer and seal the Staff of the Prophet. Eventually, the photonic computer of the Lord God shattered, but the data remained intact, as well as the secrets of the angel folk. Jiangli could sense that in the moment the angel exploded, he had acquired a passcode to another dimension. It was the most mysterious of dimensions, the light dimension. According to the rumors, there was no darkness or shadow there, only radiance and light. That was where the angels lived. Only in the light dimension could the eternal well be found, and in the depths of that well was primal chaos paleoenergy. Alright, I finally know the passcode to the light dimension where the angel folk live. Jiangli had killed many angels in the past, including ancient ones. However, most of them lived in the 3rd dimension, in their base of operations. Angel kings, angel emperors, and other ancient angels lived in the light dimension. Just like that, the photonic computer of the Lord God vanished, having been absorbed by the Brood Mother to form a new photonic computer. Radiant Bug King Monarch. Jiang Li digested the data, and a new core appeared in the depths of the broodmother. It was none other than the Queen's evolved form, the radiant Bug King monarch. Any insectoid that roamed the universe could absorb the power of civilization and evolve into a different form. For example, the broodmother had just absorbed the photonic computer of the prophet, and had become a radiant Bug King monarch. Originally, Jiang Li had transformed the mother nest into a defensive type. Among them, there were prayer bugs that had turned into countless protective light. Now that the Queen Mother had become a light bug monarch, the power of prayer had become even more abundant, and the protective power had become even stronger. Planet Infinity underwent another transformation. It was now larger, and layers of radiance and light condensed into holy stones, turning the entire planet into a sphere of light. Originally, Planet Infinity had been inhabited by many people. But later, because the cultivation world had stabilized, they had all moved out, and Planet Infinity had become a research base and a place where photonic computers stored information. But now, Planet Infinity's radiance had completely replaced the sun's position, becoming the source of humanity's energy. In addition, it had the ability to create a final chance for humanity to escape, store data, and preserve the spark of civilization. If the cultivation world was destroyed, Planet Infinity would shatter the void and disappear without a trace. It wouldn't take the humans with it, but it would take their data with it. When it reached a safe place, it would use the data to replicate the humans. There was no other way around it. This was the plan agreed upon by all of humanity. It was also humanity's last chance. Although if the cultivation world was destroyed, it would be difficult to preserve the spark of civilization, there was still a 1 in 10,000 chance. Buzz, finally, the brood mother and the photonic computer of the Lord God successfully fused. The brood mother was Jiang Li's clone, and the photonic computer of the Lord God was also his. With the success of the fusion, Jiang Li's strength had greatly increased, especially his soulfire. His soulfire had increased from 11,000 dimensional units to 12,000, which was equivalent to an expert of 12 grand daos. Chapter 635. His mental power of 12,000 dimensional units was simply terrifying. He could suppress most of the experts with this mental power alone. He could even defeat some of the bigwigs in the Immortal Worlds camp. But this bit of psychic power was far from enough. It couldn't even compare to Hallucination. Hallucination was an expert with 3 grand daos, but his psychic power was 20,000 dimensional units. That was equivalent to an expert with 20 grand daos. He could easily kill Jiang Li. Jiang Li still had to continue comprehending the laws to perfect the infinite Tao and strengthen his psychic power. Furthermore, he was able to obtain a lot of information from hallucinatory. Apparently, he had the vague feeling that the enlightenment of the 8th magical law lay in hallucinatory's body. That was because this woman had an enigmatic shadow, and was very helpful to the infinite great Tao. What was infinite? It was something that could never be seen through or seen through. What was that? That was a mystery. Just like the three-dimensional universe, this universe was a mystery to any expert. A dense fog, mysterious, profound, and unfathomable. The 8th law should be related to mystery. Jiang Li felt that he should go see Hallucination, not as Yi Jin's clone, but as Jiang Li's main body. Yi Jin had already left Hallucination's team and had even gone to Snitch. They had basically become enemies. Hallucination wasn't in the cultivation world at this moment, but on a strange planet at the core of the Milky Way. This was a neutron star with an unimaginably high density. It was also one of the most terrifying substances in the universe. Even experts at the Grand Tao level would have to stay far away from neutron stars when flying through the universe. Once they got close, they would be sucked in. There was no way to escape, and even their souls would be crushed. The density of neutron stars was very high. This was common knowledge back when Earth was still a country. However, this kind of thing was also a good material for real experts to refine magic treasures. This was because neutron stars had a strong gravitational force, and the internal temperature was very high. It could melt anything. If it was stored in space and suddenly released, it could shatter everything. Hallucination and the others were currently on it. They had set up formations that connected to some kind of channel. This was because once the neutron star collapsed, it would form a cosmic black hole. This was the strangest thing. Even experts with virtual godheads would be buried inside if they weren't careful. From this, it could be seen that psychedelia seemed to be looking for an opportunity to open up some sort of passage. Tong Hun and the others also set up around her. They were all very careful, afraid that the attractive force of the neutron star would affect their souls. Woo woo woo, the illusion moved slightly, and a bright light appeared inside the neutron star. It was as if the core was really lit up, and deep inside the light was a black dot. The black dot was like a black hole. This is the passage that I am connecting to our lost land. When the time comes, there will be an endless amount of power that will be transmitted over to serve as the foundation for our cultivation world's advancement, Psychedelic said. By the way, that two-faced Yi Jin reported us, saying that we colluded with the cultivation world and betrayed the Immortal Tower. Will we be punished by the Immortal Tower? Asked a teammate. Don't worry. The laws and regulations of the Immortal Tower Star Zone are very formal. They won't punish us for leaking information, unless we do something that endangers the Star Zone. So don't worry. Moreover, I have people in this holy land. Psychedelic knew the laws of the Immortal Tower Star Zone like the back of her hand. What we have to do next is very simple. We have to negotiate with Zhongli again, and use him to destroy Prince Tattoo and his gang. This way, we will have nothing to do with it. Instead, we can let the bloodline behind me grow. The moment she said this, the surrounding teammates looked at each other. Only then did they know that the person behind Psychedelic was in the depths of the Immortal Tower Star Zone, was very powerful. He could even go against Prince Tattoo. Since you asked, I will tell you. In the Immortal Tower Star Zone, Psychedelic God of the 108 combat gods is the powerful existence behind me, Psychedelic said coldly. Psychedelic said coldly, that's why I don't care about Prince Tattoo at all. Although he's a member of the royal family, and has the bloodline of the Immortal Tower's master, there are too many people like him in the star field. Ha 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 ha. As Psychedelic spoke, a voice rang out. I didn't expect Miss Psychedelic to be the descendant of Psychedelic God. You are also from the Immortal Tower Star Zone. In this case, our cooperation will be greatly discounted. Jiang Li, it's you? Psychedelic waved her hand and Jiang Li's shadow appeared. Her cultivation level could be seen when she waved her hand. It was a mysterious wave that broke all of Jiang Li's invisibility technique. Jiang Li had a smile on his face, but he was secretly on guard. Psychedelic's cultivation level was too terrifying. It's you, Jiang Li. Your cultivation level has improved a lot again. It seems that you will be able to fight against me in the next few days. Psychedelic was also very wary. With each passing day, your cultivation level increases a lot. I have never seen someone like you. You flatter me. This time, I came to negotiate with you. I want to see what methods you have to help our cultivation world advance, Jiang Li said. Hee hee. Psychedelic laugh. Jiang Li, you hit it well. I already know that there are corpses of gods in the cultivation world. After you obtained the corpses, you have been refining them continuously. You are stalling for time. Yi Jin has already seen through this. Now I also know your secret. What? Jiang Li pretended to be shocked. You guys actually know about this secret? Who was the one who spread it? The cultivation world is expanding every day. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that there is immortal divinity flowing in it. Psychedelic's body was like a willow tree in the wind, swaying non-stop. I can vaguely feel this. You have a very strong power. You can transport the corpses of gods from the depths of the universe. This must be the function of that great emperor's relic. There are treasures everywhere in your cultivation world. However, you are now the corpses of gods of the martial arts world. The people of the martial arts world will definitely go crazy if they know about this. It doesn't matter if they know. Zhongli smiled. Right now, the cultivation world is still outside the Milky Way. Those who are too strong can't break through the restraints of the three-dimensional universe to come to our side and attack our world. That's not necessarily true. Psychedelic waved his hand. First, they can cooperate with the people of the Immortal Tower. The power of the second celestial sphere will continue to expand. The next step will be to spread to the cultivation world and eventually cover a large part of the universe. This place will soon become the real battlefield of the myriad worlds. Apart from that, gods will also descend. Once gods descend, the cultivation world will no longer have any hope. More importantly, I know you want to build the human world. However, the birth of such a world will have a very serious impact on the order of the myriad world. Moreover, the birth of a great universe requires the fall of another great universe. This is a replacement of the old and the new. Therefore, the newly born universe will definitely be killed by the myriad world. You have to understand this. These are all unavoidable. Zhongli said, with your strength, you can't guarantee the safety of our entire world. Of course I can't guarantee it. However, the existence behind me, psychedelic God, also known as the Lost God, can guarantee it. As long as you cooperate with me, with the help of the Lost God, your world will not have any problems in a short period of time. Moreover, it can guarantee the safety of your people, Psychedelic said. Is that so? The Lost God is also from the Immortal Tower's star field. He is definitely a threat to me. Why should I believe you? Zhongli was trying to get information out of him. To be precise, although the Lost God is one of the 108 divine generals of the Immortal Tower's star field, he signed a chaos contract with the Master of the Immortal Tower during a battle and is only temporarily serving him. Apart from that, I can tell you many things about the martial ancestor of the human race, Ba Liming. Do you want to hear it? Psychedelic seemed to have grasped Jiang Li's thoughts. As expected, upon hearing this news, Jiang Li's heart was moved. Currently, the human race lacked the strongest expert. If the martial ancestor Ba Liming could return, he would definitely sweep across the world. No one would be able to cause trouble for the human race and the cultivation world. He would be able to win a chance for the human race to develop and survive. Is the martial ancestor Ba Liming suppressed in the depths of the Immortal Tower? Zhongli asked. That's right. He fought with the Master of the Immortal Tower and was suppressed. The Master of the Immortal Tower wanted to sign a contract with him but was rejected. That's why he ended up like this. However, his cultivation is very strong and is almost on par with the divine generals. After being suppressed, he can still appear with his projection and resolve the crisis for the human race. He's really impressive. If you want to see him and help him regain his freedom, only the Lost God can help you. The Lost God holds great authority in the Immortal Tower's star field. Psychedelic was also using words to bait Zhongli. Let's be specific. In short, we can cooperate with the Lost God, but we must maintain the independence and management rights of the entire cultivation world. That's because we humans have a free and independent soul. There's no need to talk about worshipping the Lost God and believing in him. You should understand us humans. Everyone respects the freedom of the soul, Zhongli said. Once the theory of the freedom of the soul was revealed, the entire human race's thinking had evolved. Now, countless geniuses were emerging. In time to come, it wouldn't be surprising for someone like Zhongli to appear again. That's not necessary. The God of the Lost does not need faith. For high-level gods, faith is just a burden. Gods of their level are not low-level God. These kinds of gods rely on nothingness, cut off karma, and do nothing in peace. What they want is to create a kind of momentum and promote the development of the universe. From there, they can obtain the universe, the power of chaos, and the blessing of the supreme laws. Finally, they can pursue transcendence, Psychedelic said. Jiang Li was deeply in agreement with this point. The supreme laws of the universe were some fundamental principles, such as the fall of the gods, the advancement of the world, the destruction of the world, the mutual balance, and the alternation of energy. For example, Jiang Li had promoted the advancement of the cultivation world and caused the fall of another universe. That was equivalent to promoting the metabolism of the entire multivariate universe, which would be of great merit to the multivariate universe. In this way, he could obtain some unimaginable things. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.